Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird 91. We are giving you guys a live on Ready to Love. Look, I am not at my usual home, so my setup is a little bit different than usual. I will be talking a little bit lower as well because I want to make sure I don't be disturbing people in their yard. But we're gonna have a good conversation. Got a few people who want to jump on board and give us their views on Ready to Love. Yeah, Ready to Love. I was gonna say, wait, did I take everyone? Ready to Love. It is Ready to Love. I don't know why my brain was thinking, did I say Married at First Sight? But Ready to Love, yeah. So DC, it was a crazy episode. A lot of things that were happening that, I'm not gonna lie to you, were a little bit suspect. For instance, we had Corey. Corey was moving very weighty, but you know what? Corey, for me, Corey's a little bit of a playboy. Yeah, he's a playboy trying to show that he's confident, uber confident, and super sexy, all this kind of stuff. But really, it kind of comes off an tacky. He lacks tact, and that is an art in itself. You know what I'm saying? But before I jump into that, I can talk a whole lot of stuff before we get into that. Let me just first do the introductions. If you are new to this channel, please do me a massive favor. You like it, you share, you subscribe, you click on you that bell button for notification of what uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is. You got the minerals, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Listen, it's mad in the dunya. So yeah, we're gonna have some conversations today. Like I said, got a few people to come on board and give us a view. So I'll give you a quick rundown. I was on Maria's live yesterday. Probably shouldn't have done that because it's really late, and then I was waking up really early for to get up. But yeah, the watching the show, I watched it last night with you guys. Gotta get that crack link. And when I watched the show, obviously, couple things really stood out for me. Like I said, I don't want to talk too deep because I want to leave that for my reviews. But Corey was one that caught my eye because he was so bait with it. And if we're dealing with people like who think they're alpha male, stuff like that, he is not your alpha male. Okay, all right. I just want to let you know, alpha males don't go for the whole pack when they go for women. Okay, they choose the cream of the crop and they chase one or two. And that's it. They don't go for the whole bunch, trying to take them all on a date. Okay, all right. And he got caught in the end because he was saying this, he was doing copy and paste for every girl. Now I think I think he's a show plant. I think they planted him in here for a little bit of mayhem. I think they planted him in here for a little bit of nonsense because nothing he said showed me that he was ready to love in the slightest. He's got issues, you know what I'm saying? He's saying that he can't get past the first date, but he's got almost 100. But basically, he's joining Johnny, okay, from Married at First Sight. He is joining the levels of Johnny, goes on 100 dates, first dates, and can't get to a second. But I need you to jog on, bruv. If you can't get past the first date, you got problems. Then we got to talk about Camille, all right, because she's number 2 problem, all right? The mere fact that they called you Black Widow, you're not a Marvel Avenger, sis. We're in trouble. Okay, because we've got somebody calling herself Black Widow because she's a commitment phobe. Okay, 3 times she's been engaged, and she said, I don't think I even loved them. Well, sis, if you didn't love them, why are we going to the stage 3 times? The first time I can understand. Second time we can get away with it. Third time, you are now the biggest problem. But she said herself she didn't love herself at that point. So she did. It sounds like she did learn a little bit about it. But for me, I can see that same. I can see a little bit of the brokenness playing out on the show, and I think then again, I'm not gonna be too hard, but it's only because I can see what happens next week. But I mean, I don't go too hard now, because sometimes you do some healing, and then you get thrown into a scenario where you're being triggered, and you have to learn how to behave. So I'm gonna give her a little bit of space, but when I say a little bit of space, I'm still on the neck a little bit because the way she was even on the show trying to be possessive of Cornelius before he's even said anything about it is problematic. And actually what she's doing is, listen, if we're talking about love bombing, right, from Mandem, yeah, what she's doing is almost trying to show like what she's almost doing is clamping this guy early on. And what's going to happen is she's going to clamp and release. She's going to clamp him, love bomb him, and then release. Because that's why she's a commitment phobe. That's why she's a Black Widow. Right? She bites, she stings, and then you die. That's it. You know what I'm saying? And so she's gonna be doing that on the show, and we'll talk a little bit about her tonight as well. I think there were some great dates going on, but obviously the bottom two, Tasia and Libby, I think it's Libya or Libby. Libby went in the end. Unfortunately, it was unfortunate, but I think it was the right decision. And then we had, obviously, from the boys' side, we had what was it? Was Corey in the bottom two? No, Corey, yeah, Corey was in the bottom two. Corey and Lamont. Again, let me just be very frank with you, Lamont. If you are going to spit bars, why are we spitting bars? Sorry, my bad. That was wrong wording, because that was Aisha who said that. You said your pen work. When you're going to give raps and a spoken word or a rap or something, on the first time you meet someone, just choose the one that doesn't have penis in the rap. Okay? Because what you've done now is initiate a sexual conversation and pretend as if you didn't know what happened. Bro, listen, you can't give that. Forget the nervousness and the awkwardness that he already has, but you're not going to be given a rap and a spoken word, and it comes off so. You see, the beauty of the 90s is, listen, yeah, this is where I think 90s and maybe the noughts a little bit different from what we've seen in the 10s and the 20s, right? It is the blatant words that are used rather than the euphemisms that are used, right? In the 90s, listen, don't get it twisted. They were talking about sex, you know what I'm saying? But you remember, listen, knocking boots, that's sex, but it's the euphemism. When you use euphemisms, they kind of like, what it does is it just softens the actual topic so it's palatable. You saying straight out dick, penis, fornication, sir, you're making my ears hurt, because you're making it very evident you're taking the conversation down that road. If you got pen game, you need to pen that euphemism. You need to pen that entendre. You got to pen it so that it just sounds beautiful and it sounds nice to the ear. You didn't give me that, Lamont. So that was his particular thing. And then finally, I'll say one more thing. I like Cornelius. I like Walter. Walter's a little bit of a reformed thug, okay, as he said himself. And excluding what we can see next week, and what things are coming down next week, he seemed like a very sound and a very humble, nice kind of guy. I mean, he seemed like he was well-rounded without looking at what happens next week's in the previews, right? So he seems well-rounded. Good conversation with Sabrina. They both shared some deep things. They both share some deep things. But I'm always being cautious now with when we see things like that, just because I don't want to get excited about you sharing your trauma. That doesn't mean it was deep. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you share trauma, it's deep, but I mean, it's a negative that you're sharing, right? And sometimes what can happen is people can say, I've had a bad experience, you had a bad experience, and we've connected, and it was like it was deep. No, it's a part of deep, but it isn't necessarily the deep. There are deeper things we can connect on. We can connect on the wisdom that we've learned, things that we've gone through, but we've learned from. And those are more positive, deep things that we can talk about, rather than just talking about our deep traumas, which are not a problem, but it also shouldn't be overly celebrated before it's time. Do you know what I mean? Like, if just in case it gets too glorified and then getting caught up in like, we have a deep connection. Because he said at the end, we had a deep connection. Did we have a deep connection, really? Did we have a deep connection, really? If we're sharing traumas, is that really a deep connection? Yeah, we shouldn't get too excited about people sharing traumas as a deep connection. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's how you can get manipulated. I'm not saying he's going to do that, but that's how you can get manipulated. Someone can go, yeah, I got some deep traumas, and you got deep traumas, you share the deep traumas, and you think now, because you shared your deep trauma, that person really is deep with you. And really, they might never be there. They just gave you an illness in the ear. But anyway, I have spoken enough about the show. Let me get one of my first panelists on and let the conversation start flowing. Because we wanna get the conversation and the game flowing. I've sent out the link. Let me make sure I've sent out the links to people to get them on the show, because people can't hear complaining they ain't got the link. You know what I'm saying? All right, cool. Fantastic. Everyone's got a link. Okay, cool. I've sent it. All right, cool. So, Jay, we'll get you on first. Hey, Jay, how you doing? You right?
Hey, everybody. Hey, the Mineral Gang. How y'all doing tonight?
Hi there, man. You good?
Good. How are you, Coach?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's just, it's a crazy day. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're the hardest working man in YouTube, so you know.
Well, you know, man, I gotta give you guys elite content, and I appreciate you guys taking the time out. So,
Oh,
yeah,
definitely,
man.
definitely. For you, yes, definitely.
Yeah. So, you know, Jay, what was your overall thoughts towards this first proper episode that we got? I know we had the little casting special. We can talk about that as well. What was your overall first impression after watching the show last night?
Um, I know everybody was saying it was like a lot of bald heads and everything going around. I'm not mad at it because I'm a fan of a bald head. Look, I'm a fan of a nice looking brother, period. Okay. Bald head, hair, whatever. You look good with it. I'm a fan of yours. But you know, it was a lot. I think for the first start of it, there was a lot of solid brothers as far as maturity, head wise, mentality goes. I felt like it was a lot of, you know, good brothers, suitable brothers that is like really ready to be in a relationship. Um, Ladies, you know, there's some problematic ones up in there. I'm gonna say, I can see why some people are single and have been. But we'll see how it matches up as it goes, because hopefully they see themselves on the show as they continue to see why they are single. And you know, that's part of the game of it. You know, you're doing this experience to actually see where you're going wrong and why you're having this trouble. So hopefully through the course of the show, we'll see some things change up, and hopefully these women will get it together, you know, represent us. They're beautiful, don't get me wrong, very beautiful women, but when you're this beautiful and you're still single, you know, typically there's something else going on. You know, and it's not just the men. We're not going to say it's the men's fault. Something you're doing is causing you to be single, especially with certain people that said they've been engaged 3 times. Sweetheart.
What you know? What you know, Jay?
And then you're on this show now, like, okay, because you're already starting off with the wrong foot that you're talking about you playing games in the pre-show. You know, you basically said that you play games. You know, and if anybody not knowing who I'm talking about Camille. You know, she says she's a Black Widow. She says she plays games. She basically leads men on that she's not interested in. So why are you wasting everybody's time? Because you're wasting your time and everybody else's that you're dealing with. And now you're here 3 engagements in. And I'm not going to mention no age because love has no time limit. But if you want kids kind of do have a time limit. So, you know, if you want making lasting memories with somebody and spending time with somebody, that does have a time limit. And technically, we all have a time limit. So it's just like, stop wasting all of this precious time that you could be having with somebody special. That's really what you want. And right now, I don't really see her there for that. I see her kind of like Corey as a plant, just to stir up some trouble. We'll leave it for there. Hey, ladies.
Hey, man. You're right, ladies. Okay, I hear what you said. Speaking to the masses, what was your overall thought? Just give me a quick synopsis of what your overall thought was of the show. What was your overall synopsis of what you thought about the episode this Friday gone past?
I'm not feeling it. It doesn't look the way that it did with the first season. I'm not feeling how they're moving and going about some of this stuff. Some of the things that they're saying, there's like no filter. Some things should just be saved for a later date, maybe in private, but they're just all out here with all the information. And some of the things that they're saying, I'm like, I don't know if you're ready to be in love, to be on this show for what is needed. And I just I didn't like it. It didn't sit well with me at all. And I'm like, if this is what they can present it on first episode and the casting episode, I don't know. They're gonna have to show me where it's gonna be some hope in this, but I'm not liking it personally. Some of the stuff they saying, I can't wait to get my hand on this and that, and I'm like, ma'am, you just met the guy. Like, you don't even have a name yet, and you're already trying to get in places that don't need to be. What are we doing? Like, is this what we have come to with the dating? I don't know. Like, they're gonna have to do something about this season. If it goes downhill, this may be it for me. With I wasn't feeling it. Nah.
Sorry, Brittany. Brittany, what was your overall thought? Thank you very much speaking to the masses. What was your overall thought, Brittany, of the overall episode? You know, before we get into any characters and breaking some of the characters down, what was your overall thought of the actual episode? You know, what was your kind of thoughts around it? Let us know.
My thoughts on the episode overall, it was I mean, they gave what they gave, honestly. I mean, it wasn't, we just getting to know everybody. The guys, like Jay said, I agree with most of what she said. It's a decent, solid group of guys, and then the ladies,
Do you think that the looks of both the men and women are quite equal this time round? Like everyone seems to be on the same level.
Yeah, for sure. It's balanced. Everybody has a different personality for sure. Not in terms of like archetypes or anything, but everybody is distinct. So you have an idea of who is who. You can kind of separate everyone from each other. It was a lot of sharing going on, like a lot, like more than what I thought. Not too much from everybody, but some that could have kept a little bit to themselves. But just in terms of first impressions and everything. But overall, I mean, I think it was okay. The first episode, I'm not like overhyped about it like I would have been in the past. It's a decent episode.
Okay, no worries. All right, cool. Appreciate Brittany. Sean, welcome to the conversation. Good to have you on here, bro. What was your kind of thoughts in regards to this episode? Did you think that there was a good balance in terms of age, how people looked? Because in past sessions we've had some crazy age gaps, but do you think there was a good mix in terms of the characters on the show, or do you think it's a bit maybe one-sided to the women or one-sided to the men? What was your kind of thoughts?
Yeah, you know what? I can't quite call it at this point. There's really on either side. I didn't see anybody that stood out to me with the ladies to be like, oh yeah, I would definitely, and I'm talking about between looks and, what they had to say in their background. Because there's definitely some good looking women in the mix, but when you hear what they have to say and what they're talking about, nothing's really standing out. But listen, people can recover from a first impression. I've learned that, so I want to give them a shot. But for right now, some of the most of the dudes, I don't know. I think I forget the guy's name. I have it written down, but the older gentleman, I think he's like 46. He seemed to have a solid head on his shoulders. He made a connection with, I think, the young lady Sabrina around their parents. So he seems like a stand-up guy. But again, this is only, we're just getting, an idea for their character. So he seemed cool. I know the dude, Naeem, he's going to get smoked from the ladies because, he said he wants natural, little to no makeup. So I know that caused probably a little bit of a controversy. But, he wants what he wants. And listen, Sabrina said what? She was like, she don't want no short men. You know what I mean? Some people know that song, right? So she got a preference. She knows what she wants. She's saying it. You know, so I think, you know, he's saying his. So, but, you know, his conversations seem to be solid. Everybody, you know, knows Corey. That dude is, you know, whack, and tried to, like, you know, fish with a real wide net, and that just crashed and burned. So, you know, a couple of the guys seem a little awkward too. The one that got eliminated, he was mad awkward. So I wasn't surprised that he wound up getting the boot over Corey, because he just seemed like hunched over in his suit, you know, suits all tight and crunched up. So, you know, none of these guys are like super suave, except for, I think, OJ, you thank you, Walter. He seemed like a solid dude. I think he'll clean up with all the ladies, because, you know, there's not a lot of competition, I don't feel like, amongst the men.
Good points. Good points. Good points. Okay, cool. Let me ask everybody a question and just get some quick answers from you guys. Okay, Jay, who is for you then top 3 men picks and why? You just want to get some quick answers there. What's your top 3 picks and why for the men?
Top 3, Walter, definitely head on. You know, he has decent conversation, even if he's not interested into you. He knows how to hold the conversation, and he appears to be attentive right now. I'll give Dante it. I know we didn't get much of Dante, but because he did listen to what is her name? Shoes. I lost her name. I can't think. The coach, the intimacy coach.
Well, Shallow.
Shallow, yeah. So he listened to her enough to repeat what she said, and then had a follow-up question to it. So I give him that. Like, he's actually seems like he's trying to make a real connection. So I give him that right there. Oh, shoot. You know, like we say, we start to go slim, because as people continue to talk, you like, ooh. Because, I mean, Carradine walks in and he has this demeanor like he has a good personality and stuff, but there was little things that he was doing as we continue to go with certain women, like with Libby, when he did Libba, however you say her name, that, you know, he could have just easily just kind of brushed her off, but he want to play the joke and then had these facials with it. And so it's like, I pick up on all that stuff. If I was sitting there right there, I'd have been kind of like, okay, why you keep turning up your face every time you laughing with her? So don't laugh. And they go, like, why do you do that? That is rude and stuff. So he came off a little rude after a while. But some women like that. We know Corey a hot daggone mess. Corey seemed like he'll be a good fun to hang out with and, you know, hot bars with or whatever, and just watch him run through the room and see what happens. But as far as a date, I would like to say Tyrell, but me personally, I have a thing with military people, so I don't know. My third pick was kind of up in the air right now. So,
okay, I'm hearing you. Thank you very much, Jay. Appreciate it. Speaking to the masses, just really quickly, what's your top 3 for the men and why?
Top 3, I will go with Walter. He seems to be, from what we can see, mature, well prepared, ready to possibly love, from what we can kind of see. So he's been through the hoops and he knows the ins and the outs. So I did like that about Walter, and he has good conversation. The next one would be Cornelius, possibly. He knew what he wanted based off the casting videos and him coming in. So I did also like the conversations and different things like that and how he flows. So Cornelius. And the third one, maybe Phil. I'm not quite sure why as of yet, but I was thinking about possibly Phil as well. Some of the other guys, you know, of course, Corey, no. The Carlton guy, I kind of agree with what Jay was saying. I couldn't really put my finger on it quite yet, but it didn't. I wasn't really sure. But between Walter, Cornelius, and Phil, I think those are the 3 that I might go with right now. So yeah.
Appreciate speaking to the masses. Brittany, top 3 for you for the men. What's the top 3? Why?
Top 3. myself and Doc are on the same page, so I said Walter first. It seems like he has his head on straight. He's been through some things, right? It seems like he's healed from it. You know, only time will tell once we get to see him in action, how things work out with him. And Cornelius would be the next one because he seems like he knows what he wants as well. He was a straight shooter based on his interview. And then it was between Naeem and I'm sorry, not Naeem, wrong one. Tyrone and Phil for me. I'll probably put Phil over Tyrone just because with Tyrone, it seems as though his mommy issues are going to get in the way. But once again, time will tell. But I'm not, and that doesn't mean he's not a good guy because he seems like a pretty good guy. But you know, I don't know with the mommy issues thing because it seems as though that was holding him back a little bit based on what he was saying in his introduction video. But yeah.
Appreciate that. Sean, slightly different for you. Top 3 women and why?
So, Courtney.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like the energy, but you know what? I gotta still do some more work on me because I like a little bit of a challenge. So that's my weakness. You know, she's got a little feistiness in her. She came with the Leo energy. I love the curly fro. She was rocking, you know, her vibe. You know, so she was like my top one. Who else? I like Zadia, but all of this, she's a boss stuff. I mean, if she could kind of, I mean, I just wrestle with her. I mean, beautiful, you know. But this boss talk and you got to schedule time for her, that was giving me yellow flags. And then the other girl who I thought was Carrie. I liked her. I liked her attitude. I liked, you know, that she, you know, was married before, knew how to, you know, she said she catered to her man. And, you know, if anybody knows me, I'm a sucker for those kind of things. You know, when the time is right, of course. So I think she's kind of self-reflecting on the timing piece, but I liked her a lot. I thought she was beautiful. You know, loved the braids. You know, her energy was sweet. And you know, very, very feminine and sweet. I almost went for who's the girl that was in the bottom? What's her name?
Libby. What? Tasia or Libby?
Tasia. Yeah, I almost went for her, but then she ruined it with her attitude. And when she was in the bottom 2, no self-reflection. She was pouting, throwing a temper tantrum. She didn't even get eliminated. You know, Libba, who got eliminated, had a better attitude than her. So yeah, after that, I was like, yeah, no, that's a red flag. Went from yellow to red. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I'm with you on that, bro. I did have Courtney as one of my top picks, but then she went and said, she said, what she say? Something about, I can't remember. She said something about which particular guy she doesn't like. I can't remember. Was it? I can't remember what exact term that she used, and I was like, in the casting special, I was like, okay. What, Jay? Do you know what she said? I'm trying to remember what she said. Oh, okay, I thought you might know what she said. I can't remember what she said. She said something, and I was like, you know, I appreciate her energy. I do like her vibe. I like her energy, and clearly, what she wants is, she said, alpha male, all that kind of chat, but went with Cornelius, and I was like, well, Cornelius is not an alpha male. You know, he's a holy roller. So I'm not sure if you really want an alpha male kind of guy. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you want someone who's a bit more assertive, but you don't want an alpha male. Do you know what I mean? But some people, I think sometimes people mess up their terminology. But I did have her in the top 3 for me. I also had Zadia as well. In my top 3. But I said I just put a little asterisk next to her when they said alpha female as they introduced her. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I'm not about to be again, terminology, language is all very important, because you may be saying the exact same thing, but the way that you phrase it now sounds really different to how someone else might say it. So saying you have to schedule time with me, rather than saying I've got a busy life and it's, you know, I have to work hard to make sure I make time for people. It's totally different to mean you got to schedule time with me. Okay, you know, like the way you say something can really change the mood and the atmosphere and how someone perceives you. So you got to be very careful with language. So when they use that language, when she used that language, I said, I'm not too sure, but I still had it in my top three. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you a little bit of chance, you know, to ride out. And then in my third, in terms of people, who was my third? Oh Lord. Oh Lord. My third. I didn't really have a third, you know. If we're talking about just like watching a show, I didn't really have a third. If we're talking about when I first looked at somebody, it's different. But as I heard people, I wasn't really drawn in. You know what I mean? A part of me and my old school hood days was drawn to Aisha. I'm not gonna lie to you, just a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was drawn to Aisha a little bit. My tracksuit hoodie wearing days was starting to rear its ugly head again and saying, bruh, we need a little bit of Aisha, man. We need a bit of that rough around the edge a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So you know, that'll be, I guess, my top three for the show. So let me answer a reverse question then for the ladies. Who would be in your bottom 2 or 3? You can do 2 if you want. If you can't think of 3, that's calm. Who would be in your bottom 2 or 3? So we know what the show said, but for you, watching the show episode 2, who would be in your bottom 2 or 3 and why? Jay, go for me again.
Told you Corey gonna be at that bottom one and stuff, because if I was there, just watched him work the room, which I would have been doing, you know, I'd have been like, oh, but this brother, like my poor little brother, he out of control. Lamont, unfortunately, would have still been there. And that's just because he was just awkward. You know, he just wasn't comfortable in the social setting. And this is a social experiment, unfortunately, for people that are kind of like hermits or, why can't I think of the word right now? You know, when you're just kind of like isolated to yourself. I can't think of the word right now. I don't know why, but you know, when you're just to yourself and you're not able to work a room, and from what I heard too, when he was doing his little introduction, that he's used to being around guys. So it's already kind of like a intimidation factor for women. You know, as soon as he's around women, he gets a little intimidated and then he probably forgets to speak or whatnot. And that spoken word, unfortunately, just wasn't the best one for the time, and just wasn't the best. And the fact that he did the spoken word, and you know, you accentuate certain words when you do spoken word, and the word that was accentuated was penis. Like out of everything, it was like a kind of a bland spoken word until we got to that word, and I was just like, okay, so that's where your focus is at right now, like, bro. We got to get it together, like a little bit. A third person for me probably would have been Carrington. I'm sorry, something about him is just, I can't figure it out, but it's just a little something off-putting with him. But yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that. I definitely hear you on Lamont and Carrington as well. I would have. I see what you're saying. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Speaking to the masses, who's your bottom at the moment? Who's your bottom 2 or 3, man, and why?
Off rip, Corey.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
He was moving like Troy from last season, but to me, worse. It was just way too much. Just way too much. Doing too much. The way he was moving, it didn't even make sense. The whole 100 first dates. When you learn how to perfect the look, but you have no character behind your look, that's an issue for me. Like he knows how to secure a first date, but he don't know how to do anything past that. And the way he was getting these numbers and pulling people from the table and hey, I want to go on a date, but you didn't establish anything with these women. Corey off rip. He should have left. They didn't need to keep him. I'm sorry. I know that, Lamont, he's probably the second one only because I felt like he didn't fit the environment. Not to say that he didn't have a good personality or a decent personality. I just didn't think that he fit the environment that is given. So that's the only reason why for Lamont. But I still feel like Lamont probably should have stayed over Corey. He should have stayed. Corey should have left. And then if I had to pick a third person, I'm with Jay again on this Keratin. I don't know what it is, but I wasn't feeling it. It just really didn't hit. I really don't know what it is right now, but I just have a question mark for him with him. I don't know why. But yeah. Keratin, number 3.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Brittany, who's your bottom 3, man? Who's your bottom 3 pick, man? And bottom two or 3, you can say, and why?
Okay, so I'm gonna start with Corey because the copy and paste shtick is not it. It's not working for me. We're gonna call him Mr. Copy and Paste because that's what I've been referring to him as all day. The next guy would have to be. Now Corey's gonna be number 1. These last 2, I don't really have a position, but Carrington. What threw me off a little bit was when, what's that girl's name? Tasha. I don't know how to say her name, but when she was okay, when she was asking him questions, you remember when he was saying it felt like she was drilling him.
Yeah,
I feel like she was asking those questions because he wasn't giving no real answer.
I agree.
So that's what threw me off, and I'm like, well, you're not answering her question. So yeah, she gonna keep asking you the same question in a different way to get an answer out of you. And clearly you know how to work your way around a conversation. So, if you're going to White House dinners and stuff, right? So, yes, that's for him, White House dinners. The last one, I mean, I don't really have a last one. If I have to speak on somebody, I would have to say Lamont. He's not a bad guy. It's just that it seems like he needs to date a lot more, just to get himself reacquainted with going out with women and being with them a lot more. Because he said it's been 6 years since he's dated. So I get that. I get the awkwardness. So, and I don't think Corey should still be there over him. Corey kind of took himself out when he asked everybody on a date. So yeah, Lamont. I think Lamont could have stayed. They could have gave him a chance. I think he would have came out of his shell, especially knowing if he was on the bottom. Because it's a competition. Men, when you find out you're not doing too well, you ask questions. Unlike Miss Tisha did. She should have asked questions. But yes, I think Lamont should have stayed over Corey though, if anything.
Cool. Okay, I hear that. And Sean, your last but not least, bottom 3 and why for ladies? Like what were the ladies? What would you say is the bottom 3 ladies? Because they all look pretty good and they all look tasty. But who would you put in the bottom 3 for you, Cap? Bottom 2 or 3?
Okay, real quick before I go there, I forgot about this young lady. I had to look up their names. But Moomin, she would have been in my top. Moomin and Zadia and Carrie. Those are really my top 3. I forgot about. I couldn't remember her name and it escaped me. So those are top 3. But going to bottom 3, I hear you with the thugging it out, but it's a no for me for long term. So Aisha, she's gotta go. It's way too many. Tasteful tattoo here or there, but tattoo sleeves all over the back. Nah, it's just a no for me. And it's all over your arms, the sleeves. Yeah, I that's just not my thing. And she is a little rough around the edges. No disrespect. Sure, there's a man out there that will definitely appreciate her. Camille, she was chatty Kathy and way too possessive too early on. So beautiful. I love my chocolate sisters. She was gorgeous, but
she was.
The mentality, it's that's just going to be problematic and just stress me all the way out. And I need peace. So definitely Camille's a no. And Sabrina. Yeah. Sabrina wouldn't work for me. I mean, I want to have kids. So I'm thinking about that. And I think she's past that season in her life from what she says. So it's a no-go. And then she's got chock full of tattoos. So again, it's not aesthetically pleasing for me.
I rock with that, bro. I rock with that. You know, I rock with your list still. Do you know what I mean? Camille was on my bottom three. Even though she was, when I first saw her, I thought she was stunning. Had a graceful look, blessed look. You know, she looked like she was classy. Not saying that she's not even classy, still classy, but she got a possessive streak. You know what I mean? So definitely Camille would be in that bottom three for me. I think in the course of the show, watching people, if I had to choose another person, I think rightly so Libby was there. I'm not a big fan of the yes at what age we're at. Time and season as well. I think it just needed a time and season. She was just a little bit much. I think for the time of the season, for the context of where they were, I felt like she was doing a bit much, right? It didn't feel like it was her normal all the way behavior. So, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I felt like a little bit of proper put on. And yeah, I was a little bit turned off, just like Frank was unfortunately turned off. But I mean, he has his own reasons why he was turned off. And I guess the other person in my bottom three, I don't really have a bottom three. I think those two are correct. Yeah, because everyone else seemed pretty cool. Like they were having their conversations, and you know, it's early doors. We don't get too much information as to you know, what kind of craziness lies behind the actual beauty that we see. So, but yeah, those two definitely stood out for me in terms of being at the bottom, and not for me going any further. Okay, cool. Let me ask another question then. Going forward, we'll talk about more of the characters now. Let's deal with some of the things that were happening on the show. Obviously, Corey's the main one. I think he's an industry plant. I think he's just been put there by the show to create drama. There's no way they thought he was serious. There's no way they thought he was serious. I honestly, I said this last night on Maria's channel. I said once I saw him on the casting call or casting whatever with the green Letterman jacket, I said, yeah, this brother's living in the past. He's living his college days or university days. He's living as a jock in his mind, but he's not that in real life. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not really feeling his energy. But let's get some viewpoints on that and have a conversation around that. I want to know exactly what you felt about Corey. What was it? And I think we can all say that we pretty much were pretty turned off by Corey's behavior. If you weren't turned off, then you can give us a different viewpoint. But what was it about Corey's behavior that kind of threw us all off? What was he doing that is a problem for you? I want to be able to know that, so that any man who's seen that doesn't think that's a normal way to behave. What was he doing that you felt was wrong in the scenario and the setting? Bearing in mind, it is a dating show, and he went out to date these women. He went out and he asked for numbers and he dated them. What was he doing that was wrong? Brittany, you've got your mic open, so I'll let you go first.
Oh, I didn't realize it was open.
Oh, that's right. No worries.
He's somebody I would have. I mean, I still encounter some guys like him, honestly, but mainly in college. It's just the way he went about it, and I didn't get to know him. I wish he would have talked a lot more because he's handsome, but I mean, I get that it's a game show, but you don't have to necessarily treat it like it's a game. Like, we've all seen how the show works. You can sit down and talk to people and get to know them. And then if you feel like you're interested, then ask for the number. But, you know, he was kind of jumping the gun a little bit, and he gives me cornball. So I don't know. And that's only because I don't know him. He wasn't giving me enough. All he was doing was going around asking for numbers. I guess I don't even want to say it was based off of looks. But I don't know. I honestly would have to sit down and ask him, like, what made you think that this game plan was going to work? Because he didn't think this through. He didn't strategize correctly. Because there are guys who are like him that do it well, but it just didn't go too well for him. And then he called him. He's saying copy and paste. Like, you literally gave yourself a name. That's corny. The copy and paste thing is boring, so he's boring. That's what he gives me. Boring. I wouldn't go on a date with him, even because if I was on a show and he asked me if I wanted to go on a date with him, I would have gave the same answer as, I'm trying to figure out her name, Sabrina. I would have never gave him a real answer because we didn't even have a conversation yet. I don't know you. I'm not going out with somebody I haven't spoken to yet. You know? So he's kind of jumping the gun for me, and he's a cornball. Nice
Cool.
body, but cornball.
I hear you on that. Speaking to the masses, what's your thoughts? What's wrong with Corey's behavior for you as a lady? What is Corey doing that you feel is not sensible or not attractive or not the right way to go about what he's doing? What is he doing that you're feeling that is wrong necessarily?
So with Corey, I don't know, but I don't think he was being authentic. Like he wasn't being himself. Maybe what we're seeing is actually him. But it's like, is that really you? You know, to just go get the number, go on the first date. That's it. Like you need to be able to connect. We didn't see him trying to actually get to know the ladies, to make a connection with the ladies, to really see if you were feeling it, if the vibe was actually there. You was just on a mission, getting numbers, don't care what they look like, what they're saying, just trying to get a whole roster built up. And then it's like, if you look at the episode, he's like, well, I don't even know why I asked one girl her number. She wouldn't even like that anyway. That just shows like you're superficial, you're real surface level. And again, it goes back to what I was saying, like he's all looks with no character. You said 6-pack, 6 figures, 6 feet. You learn how to execute the look. You giving the ladies what they're asking for in regards to the physical, but there's no character behind you. Like, who really are you? What do you want out of life? What type of wife or woman you wanted to date? He didn't give us any of that. Oh, I just copy and paste. So there's not even any substance when you're texting, when you're even trying to connect with a person. And then you're pulling ladies from the table when they're engaging with other guys, being rude. You know, I understand it's a game or whatever, but you still got to have some type of class about yourself, some type of grace about yourself. And you pulling the ladies to the side, and some of the ladies like, oh, I don't even know you. We didn't even talk. He's so used to women giving him the time of day because he looks nice, as if that is going to pass with every woman you meet. Okay, those 100 women might have said yes, but, and then on top of the fact, it's not like those 100 women may have known each other and know what you've been doing, but now you're in a setting where these women are allowed to communicate with one another about you and the other men that are there. So they're going to find out what you're doing. And then the way it was just a bad strategy move. Just wasn't put together. It wasn't executed well at all. Even though I didn't like Troy from last season and how he went about it, he was a little more smoother than what Corey was doing. His was just all over the place. So how he was moving, it didn't make sense. And then I really didn't like the fact like he pulled Sabrina, from who she was talking to, and whispered in her ear. It just gave me creep vibes. I'm like, who taught you this? Why are you doing this? Why do you feel like this is correct? You're 40 something years old, and this is what you're doing. This is making a lot more sense as to why he hasn't found the one. Because you can't find the one if you only executed the look in the first date, and you can't get to date 2, date 3, date 4 because you missed the copy and paste, as Bree was saying. As Britt was saying. So
yeah,
it's just not adding up for me. He moving. I heard you the whole time when I was watching him. I literally heard you like, Corey moving mad. He moving mad. Because he was moving mad out here. I was like, nah, he got to go. Homie got to go. So yeah.
I hear you on that. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for speaking to the masses. Sean, I'm gonna let Sean go. Sean, what's your viewpoint with Corey? Was he doing it? Was he doing the dating show wrong? Were the ladies too sensitive? What was your kind of thoughts in regards to Corey's behavior?
Yeah, I thought that was whack. You know,
Okay.
I thought it was he was trying to show he had game, but it just showed the exact opposite because he had so little confidence in making a good first impression that he felt he had to dangle a carrot like a date with like 6 different women, and then he wasn't even customizing it to each woman he was engaging with. It was I'm all about energy and I like your energy. Like, what? You just met her 2 seconds ago. How do you know what her energy is like? And then it's like everybody, and if you want to play that game, if that's your thing, because some guys are pickup artists, right? But you have to know the time and place to do that. You can't be a pickup artist when all the women are in one concentrated place and they all know each other. Technically, like they're going to have a chance to compare stories. So if you want to be a player and spread your love all around a place, you want to pick and choose. But it was no discernment, no, and it was the antithesis for the show. The show is finding a serious connection. So if you want to present yourself as serious, you're not going to give F-boy vibes, right? This isn't F-boy Island. It's Ready to Love, right? So you at least want to pretend at the very least that you have some serious intentions. So it just showed me that there was no seriousness about him. He was a joke. He used the same line. And then I don't know if he just was there to get attention or he knew it would be something that the production team would gravitate towards and want to keep him on for the joke of it all. But for him to clearly say copy and paste, he knew what he was doing, right? You knew what you were doing. You were intentional. And then to be shocked at the end. Come on, bro. You knew what it was. You were given an assignment and he just looked like a clown show Bob to me at the end of the day. But so let's see if he learns.
Strong words there, Sean. Appreciate it. I hear that. Jay, what's your thoughts on Corey? Moving mad, moving bad. What's your thoughts about our brother Corey? You know what I'm saying? What if he did do anything wrong? What was he doing wrong?
I'll say this. I agree with mostly everything that everybody has said so far, except for the fact that there's a premise of the show is to collect dates, right? I'm not mad at the brother for the moves that he made as far as going around to everybody trying to collect the dates. Where he went wrong was he didn't make no genuine connection with anybody when he got there. He was like that little high school kid that made a bet with his friend and said, let's go before the dance is over, see how many numbers we can get before we leave. That's what he did. So it was just one of those, hey, how you doing? Can I get your number? Hey, how you doing? Can I get your number? And stuff. And then on top of it, where you said, Doc, that he's not authentic, I think that's really him because he said it in his casting special and everything that he's Mr. Cut and Copy. He's gonna paste it up wherever he can. Same line, same thing. He's Mr. First Date. He's terrible on the second date. So this is his thing. He's going to go around the room, say the same line to everybody, and hope he gets picked up by that. It's his bait. He has one straight bait. He doesn't have no other lures. He doesn't have no other worms, no other fish. Whatever he came to that lake with, that's what he's fishing with, and that's all. He's not going to try anything new and hope whatever it takes to his bait. He don't care if it's a frog, a leaf, some seaweed, whatever catches his hook. That's what he going home with, and that's how that boy fishes. So it's just like, bruh, chill out. I understand the thing is you want to make connections the first day around, but you gave nobody nothing to connect with you with. The closest you got to it was Courtney, and that was your initial attraction, your initial anything. But then even when the conversation started trying to move along, you cut it short and went right to the number. And it's like, bro, you got all day, all the way into the night. Hey, Tommy didn't even come in till like later on in the afternoon to even tell you what you guys got to do. So you spent a lot of time wasted on 10 girls where you made literally no connection to them to even say like, hey, I know more than him just want to take me out. you know, I'm not mad at the brother for working around the room and trying to figure it out, but you know, you just made yourself look like a big old high school kid at the dance, just trying to collect the numbers real quick to win the bet. And you almost lost your whole seat at the table to actually find the real love. So, you know, at the end of the day, that's where I felt Corey went wrong. It was a good strategy for the right brother, like for the right man that knows how to sit, have a conversation, charm the room, charm the lady that he's talking to at the moment. He can. I've seen those brothers work the club. Okay, they have gotten around, got numbers, and you just like, damn, you know. But then when he come talk to you, like, well, shoot, let me give you my number 2 then. Shoot, you know, you that right one is that one. But you got them ones like Corey. And you like, I'd have been a Sabrina too. Like, I haven't even had a real conversation. You talking about my number? Why are you here? This is what we're on a show, sir. We on a show. So you're gonna have, if you serious, get to know me. It's not like you're not gonna see me the next day. But if I vote you off, yeah, you ain't gonna see me. But you're doing things to get voted off. So yeah, that's where I feel he cut himself short on it.
Yeah, I'm hearing you on that. You know, I think he just overshowed his hand a little bit. You know, I think he overplayed, trying to play that role of confident guy who gets the girls. It was very distasteful. I think the way he did it, he just didn't really deep the consequence of his action and think to himself, if I've just moved to one girl, trying to move to another girl blatantly like that in front of the other girls, it's gonna make people, you know, turn against you. They're not going to want to be around you after that, because it's like, oh, so you're just doing this to everybody then. That's what it seems to be like. And that's how it's going to sound and come off. You just do this to everybody. And the whole point of human beings is that we want to feel special. We want to feel like we're the only one. Now, he doesn't have to literally be the only one that he's talking to, but he should be able to express or try to, let's say, connect to the other woman in a different way, like not right in front of people. Like, it doesn't make sense. Excuse me, I'm just not going to I got to do something. And you end up going to draw another woman right in front of the person that you were seemingly sitting next to, which was, I believe, Courtney. It's like, so it wasn't Courtney at the time. Yeah, it was Courtney at the time. Yeah, it was Courtney at the time. Courtney was sitting down and he was talking or whatever, blah, blah, blah. He said, excuse me, I've got to do something. And he said, I've got to give a gift. He's got to give something to Kerry. And I was like, what's he got to give to Kerry? Like, so now you're saying stuff just to try and get the girl to come out, and then you go and say what you need to say. It's like, bro, like, no one needs that, bro. Like, you need to get deeper with the fact that you are a commitment phobe. That's what you need to be getting deeper with. Do you know what I'm saying? Understanding that before you even think about dating, because I have a feeling he's going to cause some mayhem potentially if he stays too long in the show. Yeah. Does anybody else have any further thoughts around Corey?
Yeah, and I just want to say this. I know a couple of people are saying in the chat that, well, the lady said yes. And here's the thing, like I said, this is a great move for the right person, male or female or whatever, because I'm on a dating show that gets me eliminated if I'm not making a connection. But at the same time, he didn't make any connections. The ladies are only saying yes to stay polite so they can get the vote. Just like Sabrina did. If you really listen to her, she really wanted to be like, no, I'm good. But she was just like, okay, you know, just let me get you out my hair, brother, so I can continue on making connections with the people and stuff. And I would have did the same if I'm on the show too. Like, I'll give you, shoot, you might not even get my real number. You might get a number, but you might not get my real number if you just came at me like this, just because, hey, I need your vote at the end of this night to stay here. So a smart move from the woman is to say, yeah, okay, here, let me give it to you. Or whatnot. But you know, for him, it just wasn't the right game for him.
I'm with you on that. I'm hearing you that. So you're saying, like, in different contexts, different people, this is different, or different person who's even saying it, to give it the right move. I'm with you on that. Yeah, I can rock with that still. All right, cool. So obviously KJ down. Let's talk about another person that's problematic. Camille, calling herself the Black Widow and everything like that. You know. Again, we've always heard this. The way you describe yourself, talk about yourself, the way you talk about others, it's all part of informational gathering to see what kind of person you're going to be. And obviously, evidently, you know, Camille, she's been moving a bit mad. You know what I'm saying? She's moved a bit mad, and she's claimed even our guy Cornelius. And so, you know, the poor brother can't even breathe right now. if he breathes one wrong breath, he's gonna be in trouble. Like even the scene with the water bottle stuff, like she was like, "Are you drinking?" He's like, "You waiting for them to bring?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm waiting for Courtney." And then she made some comment, which was, I was like, "Sis, this is not helping. Like you're not in control of this man. You cannot control him." You know what I'm saying? If you do, he will rebel. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to want to be around you because you've got control and trying to control the situation by being possessive. So, yeah, I want to get you guys' thoughts on that, on, Camille. So, speaking to the masses, how about you go first for once? Because I've been getting everyone else to go first, but I haven't asked you for once. The honor of going first. Give us the juice.
All right. So this Black Widow comment that she made, it is not like she made this comment in the sense of being a Black Widow from Marvel Studios, as if you are about to take out the villains and you are the superhero. That is not the Black Widow she was talking about. The Black Widow she was referring to was the spider by nature and what a Black Widow is known to do. A Black Widow by nature consumes the male partner once it's done being impregnated. That is what a real Black spider, Black Widow do in nature. That correlated exactly with what she was saying in regards to her not being able to keep these men around. You had 3 engagements. None of them went through. That says a lot. On top of the fact that you being possessive and trying to claim a man so fast. Like, it blew me when she was like, "Oh, I can't, well, we can have chocolate babies." And already? You just met the man. You didn't even meet any of the other men that were even there good enough. You didn't already plan the whole family already. That stuff is scary. That would scare a man. That would scare a woman. Like, you already claiming in 30 seconds. I would not want to be called a Black Widow. Anybody that call me that, I'm sorry. I'm like, nope, that is not my name. I'm not receiving that. I ain't putting that curse on me. I get rid of that. Because why? That is dangerous. You can't keep a man. Every time a man come in your life, he's no longer there. No. That's why I'm looking at the show like, are y'all vetting these people? Are you listening to what they're saying? Either you just looking for the spice so we can get the ratings up, but I don't know how they feel like this is what is going to work in these relationships. That is not going to work. And that also says in her case, it's commitment. You can't commit to something, even though it's a different vein in the sense of how Corey was going in regards to his commitment. Her commitment, she is clear. And it may be some other things that we might see later down the line concerning that. But once you said that with Black Widow, I was like, oh no, I would have been ran. I wouldn't even contemplate it. I wouldn't even thought about it. And I feel bad for Cornelius even in those moments because he's already been made a target without even being able to like process or think about or really give her a full answer like, okay, yeah, I'll continue. But even though he did say like, oh yeah, he liked her, but I'm like, Cornelius, are you paying attention to what you about to step into? Because if you step into that way up, it's going to be hard for you to get out. Real hard. And when you're dealing with possessive women like that, that stuff can get dangerous. We done seen the movies. That stuff is dangerous. All day. That's what he need to be doing. I understand she pretty. I understand she's nice looking, but sometimes that girl is poison. That's what I think. That girl is poison.
I hate you.
So that's how I feel about the Camille thing. No.
Cool. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for speaking to the masses. All right, cool. Brittany, what was your thoughts to Camille? Was she the whole Black Widow stuff obviously as well, but she had an interaction with Cornelius, showing some possessive signs as well. You know, talk to us a little bit about that in terms of Camille's kind of behavior and stuff.
Camille's behavior is very, as a woman, off-putting for me, right? If I have a friend that's like that, because she's loud, I feel like she's looking for attention, and she took a lot of pride. She went, I won't say a lot, maybe like a good 70% in saying that she's a Black Widow and that she collects men, right? Because she didn't feel shameful about it. She was happy to say it, and she thought it was cute. That's where I think she went wrong, for one. Also, my question is for Cornelius. You know, I'm not coming at him or anything, but where's your discernment? Because sister girl is not it. You know, you got the Holy Spirit and everything. The Holy Spirit not telling you to like walk away, step away a little bit, because sister girl is really trying with the possessiveness. Like, she already claiming him as her boyfriend. I said, oh, okay. I said, this is a lot. It was a lot for me to take in, honestly. What else happened? She also described herself, well, she said she's a teacher. And she said, I think everybody likes her because she like acts young or something. Definitely does. She gives off that vibe. And even when she was describing the rest of herself, talking about what kind of spirit she is and everything like that, like she thinks she's that type of person, but she doesn't come off that way. That's where it goes wrong in her mind. And the fact that somebody said that she collected stones like Thanos, I had to mention that. I don't know who said it, but I'll give you credit for that one. That was funny. But yeah, Camille, she's the type of woman I feel men need to discern early on that she's crazy. Well, I don't want to say crazy, but she got some issues. And she's looking for attention. She craves it. She really wants to be with somebody. I just think she doesn't know how to go about it, and she has to change some things about her personality if she wants that, because she comes off very aggressive. If it was one of the other guys, I think they'd probably be like, all right, she's cool, but I think her beauty is getting in the way of their judgment. So they're not really paying it too much attention right now. But I think as time goes on, because I don't think they want to judge her so quickly, but as time goes on, I'm sure they'll pick up on some of the red flags there. Yeah. And she's giving me Jezebel, but you know, because she likes to control a lot of stuff too. A lot.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Appreciate it, Brittany.
Oh yeah, one more thing. She's a man eater. I gotta tell you.
Oh yeah. She's a man eater. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm hearing you on that. Jay, what's your thoughts?
Yes, baby girl. Beautiful, beautiful Black queen. I'll give her that. That she definitely is. But very mentally immature as far as I'm concerned. You're playing games. You're saying you want love, but you're just out here just constantly back to back. Every relationship you go into, you can't seem to figure out somebody that you actually like enough to like really just sit there and not BS them all the way around. You're telling people that, you're telling the world basically, I attract men just for, the hell of it, basically. And I have no interest in them. Get them all wrapped up into me and dismiss them. That is very, very problematic. Like, what is wrong with you? This is why, people is having a hard time finding good men, because good men are finding women like her. Like, this don't make no sense. You're a teacher, so I feel like you're hanging too much around those kids that you're teaching. I don't know what grade they are, but whatever grade they are, and you've been around them a little too long because you're playing high school games. You're just like Corey. You both are a high school king and queen of stupidity when it comes to relationships. Okay. This don't make no sense. You started off with Cornelius and you're sitting with your back to him. And I understand that might be a part of your little lure, your little, your little manipulation game, just not to give them too much, just let them see just enough. But you got your back to them. So that means that you're already kind of off. You got your walls up. You don't want nobody really into your life because you're not even inviting them while you're sitting down. You don't even sit on the bench straight forward. You're literally sitting on the bench with your back to him. Then when he gets the conversation with you just a little bit more, you start to turn a little bit more to him. So I see you opening up a little bit. I'm like, okay, here we go. Then he mentions what he does. And you're just like, oh, math. I don't like math. And you start frowning your face up to it. And it's like, that's what he does. And if math wasn't your strong suit, that should be like, okay, we a good match because you can help me where my math is bad at. And I help you at other parts in teaching and whatever else I do or whatnot. But then in your confessional, you're like, I got a boyfriend. His name is Cornelius. We about to have some cute little chocolate babies or whatnot. It's just like, what, girl? How did we get here already? Like, you were just off put by his job. And now you're madly in love with him to the point that when he's sitting there at the table with you guys and he mentions somebody else's name, you hurried up and turned your attention back to him as soon as you heard his voice mention somebody's name. And then, he has a water. So you going to go give her some water? I'm like, Corey, if you didn't see not Corey, but Cornelius, if you didn't see all these red flags, brother, I know you didn't see the confessional, but those other little things, especially that last one with the water, that should have been a hint to you. Like, let me take a little step back with you because you were a little too aggressive too soon. And that could potentially be a problem. And I know everybody like to say, oh, she was joking. No, she did it one too many times with the same person. Now, if you joke with a couple of other people like that while you out there playing, that just might be a part of your little personality, a little quirk that you have. But when you're doing it to the same person, you have an interest and you're possessive. I'm sorry. That's what she's going to be titled. Stage 5 possessor, like not even clinker. You're just possessive. And that's scary. When a person's possessive like that, that can be very dangerous in the future. So I hope all the guys were paying attention to it and take notes as we go along. We already know somewhere down the line, I think it's her. I can't really tell, but yeah, I don't know. We'll let that come up when it comes up though. Sean, did you go? It's on you, babe.
Yeah, Kojo departed from us. So yeah, just pretty much what everybody else said in the sense of, for me, and I know some of the ladies, may think that it's a joke, but for a man, especially meeting a woman for the first time, just like a guy can approach you and turn you off, understand that a woman can do the same. And just like certain things a guy can say are going to be red flags for you, it's the same for us. So you saw how Cornelius, we're not going to execute the same way you will. We're not going to do it the same way you will. We're not going to be blatantly cold or disrespectful. And not to say all women do that. No, they don't. But we're not going to behave in that way. We're just going to start to slowly exit stage right. He found his way to get out. You want something to drink? All right, I'll be back. We never saw them in a scene together again in that setting, right? So that's kind of like, he's just kind of watching her and seeing how it plays out, So for me, definitely, that would just totally turn me off, and then all the talking after that, and we're going to have babies. Wow, you don't even know me. That's not a funny joke. That's not a funny joke. It doesn't get my attention. It doesn't make me think, oh, wow, she's got a good sense of humor. Nope, I'm good. On to the next. And again, she was beautiful, and it's unfortunate. And I think that's what needs to happen more often is folks need to, and on both sides, ask some questions about, people they may have dated before, been in relationships. Like, what are some things that work? What are some things that I did that you didn't like? Get that advice, because you telling yourself what works, or your friends that are other women telling you what works, is not going to get you that good advice, right? And it's the same thing for men, right? We can't approach every woman the same way we do the next, because every woman is different. So we got to get to know the woman. So it's the same thing for women when they're interacting with men. You need to get to know that man first before you start talking all reckless. Because yeah, there may be a man that might think that's funny. There might be a man to be like, oh, that's cool. Find out first before you dive into that deep pool, because the average dude is going to be like, whoa, 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 too much for me. So that's what I think about her.
I also think if you guys, let me know if you guys agree. I feel like she's been hurt a lot in the past, and because she's been hurt, it's giving me, yeah, I was hurt by a man or maybe a couple, so now I'm gonna hurt them before they can hurt me, and now it's turned into like a cycle of, or a pattern of her playing with men's hearts and then throwing them away, right? And then she's been engaged 3 times. I mean, we don't know the ins and outs of the engagements, but you know, after you end up going to like the dark side, I guess, it's kind of hard to come out when you've been doing it for so long, because you can't recognize where you're going wrong now because you've been doing this for so long. So it's sad to see when you actually look at where the where her actions are coming from.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that, because it's like the same thing when Tommy come in and he's basically saying you guys need to do something different from what you guys done, and then the first thing her and Corey do is do the same thing, like where you're not just listening just now, do something different, and so you're just gonna go straight down the same path that you've been going down, playing with people's hearts, not really wanting them. And that was an interesting thing. Is like, do you really want Cornelius? Did you really make a connection? Like for you? He might have, but did you really make a connection for him? So that's going to be interesting to see as it goes down.
I honestly think when it comes to Cornelius, that might be a guy she actually likes, but because she's acting the way she is because she's immune to what she's doing now, unless somebody actually sits her down and tells her, oh no, this needs to change. Someone that actually, she cares about their opinion. He's going to be like the guy that got away for her, because I think she really likes him, because Cornelius he comes off very genuine. So when a girl like her meets a guy like him, you know, you got to find a way to kind of switch some things up if the guy isn't willing to stick around and help you figure those things out. So I hope it changes her mindset, at least the show.
Cool. Appreciate it, Brittany. Thank you. Captain Sean, Camille, Black Widow.
Oh, I went while you stepped away. We just got more back and forth banter. But I want to say one last thing, because it came up kind of in the comments, and people said, not everybody, but a couple of people were saying, well, he picked her at the end. That means nothing. This is a show. You have to be strategic. You have to pick the lesser of the evils, so who is the person that stood out for you most? So him picking her means nothing that he's really truly interested in her or not seeing some of the red flags very early on. And how many seasons have we all been down this road where a woman has been picked by a man and thinks that was his true intention? Joel, just to name one, right? Doesn't mean anything. So don't get fooled when a man picks you, because that does not mean that he wants you for the long haul. So that's a red flag for the ladies to watch out for. Jason and Liz, just because a man picks you does not mean that he wants you. So just be cautious. Don't think the picking means you're locked and loaded. It does not.
Shameless plug.
Just and just to add to what Sean was saying, just because he picked you don't mean he chose you. Because he chose Kyra, but he went with his second pick. So keep that in mind. Just because a man chooses you, just because a man picked you, does not mean he chose you. 2 different things.
They said it all. Don't say anything else. Okay. Well, I'm hearing you on that. I'm hearing that. Sorry, because my phone was playing up, so it keeps going off. But has anyone spoke that hasn't spoke yet? Did I miss somebody? Everyone spoke on Camille. Well, she must have got roasted. All right, cool. Yeah, we're roasting her differently. Okay, so what do we think then of who else was there that was interesting? Okay, so we have Walter. It seems to be wholesome, seems to be organic, seems to be fresh. You know what I'm saying? Seems to be on before this. He's good. You know what I'm saying? He seems to be good. He seems to be a nice chap. Seems to be somebody who can roll with the punches. It's seemingly empathetic. It seemed like he had some level of empathy, right, emotional intelligence to deal with Sabrina in that moment as well. But what's your actual thoughts towards Walter? Are we saying good? Are we saying not really sure? Are we saying it might be something that's underneath the surface? Like, what's our viewpoints over Walter? Especially, obviously, as well, he lets us know his wife passed away in 2003. What's your kind of thoughts on the old Walter? Let me get Sean to go first time. Sean, what's your thoughts on Walter, man? Good, bad, ugly? What's he doing? What are you saying?
Listen, he on from what I see so far, he seems like he's gonna go far in this in this season. Seems that way. He seems solid. He's got the attention of, I think, a couple of the women so far, which is a good indication that episode to episode he's going to be the one that will probably be in a lot of women's top 2 or 3. So he seemed, again, I'm listening to his conversation. He seems solid. He doesn't seem fake or phony. He had a really good conversation with Sabrina. He listened to her. I mean, bro seemed like he had some, old school player moves. He was wiping her eyes with the napkin. I'm like, bro, whoa, you, my dude, are smooth. Like, he just, she just crumbled. And on the surface, she was like, oh, I'm a tough, I need a, and then she just, he got her guard down. So he's also dangerous because he can crack that shell and get to the woman's vulnerability. And that was very early on for her to be breaking down and them to have such an emotional exchange. So I think he could go either way. He could. I know a lot of the people in the comments are saying like a Joel. So yeah, it could be that kind of situation, especially because his wife passed away early on, and in his younger years. So that's going to garner some sympathy. But again, he looks like the one that has the hearts and minds of the ladies so far out of most of the cast that's there now. You're muted, Coach.
Apologies, I muted myself there. Yeah. So let me ask the ladies then. Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate that. So obviously, from your perspective, then, what is making Walter seemingly attractive? Because the way they cut the show, they cut it like Walter was just having these great conversations. He was just light, bubbly, and just just connecting with people and understanding. And it never seemed like he had a bad moment on the episode throughout the show. So I want to ask maybe the ladies. Okay, what is it about Walter? What is he doing that seemingly is working for him? From what we can see from the edit, like what do you think Walter's doing that you saw that's making him a favorite? Because a lot of the ladies also said as well that Walter was someone they were regarding. So let me get your thoughts on that. Jay, what's your thoughts on Mr. Walter?
Yeah, he didn't get a bad edit at all. I give him that. I don't think he would have got a bad edit in this setting, to be honest with you. He seems pretty well grounded enough to have conversations and know how to work the room. He's one of the people that I said, if he took Corey's approach, he would have got all of them numbers. He would have had them numbers because he knows how to take Corey's approach plus add on to getting to know the person. Just like when he took Sabrina, he sat there and told her, there's something about you that I want to have deeper conversation with. There's something deeper there. And then he pulled her to the side to have that conversation. You see what I'm saying? So he's a grown man in that aspect. Now, where there's some things that is kind of falling short is because even with Sabrina, it was a lot of trauma bonding going on. You had the wife that passed. Unfortunately, you have the mother that passed in his arms. You know, there's a lot of these things that are just a lot of hurt. And on top of it, when his wife passed, and it's been some years, granted, it happened when he was 28 and he's now about 44, I think it is, or something like 46 or so. It happened some time ago. He had his F-boy moments. Now, are they totally gone? That's the question. You know, are you really ready? I know that he said that he did the healing, that he went through it, but are you really healed? Because you lost two major women in your life. You know, then on top of it, the other red flag that it is he wants kids. Yet he continued to talk to Sabrina, though she don't want anymore. So it was, what was your purpose of still talking to her when deep down inside, you know, you want kids? And I'm not saying that she's not opposed, you know, will later on change her mind about having kids and she should be cut off just for that reason, because her reason right now to me for not wanting to have kids is because, like she said, being a single parent and taking care of her parents, it's a lot on her plate right now. So that means that if she has any more kids, she wants it on in a whole lines of having a solid foundation for those kids to be in, so she can be able to maneuver like she needs to while she's still taking care of her parents, herself, and the family. So I get her on that. I'm not faulting her for that, but you stayed in that moment. You had great conversation with her, and you never once, at least in none of the edits that we've seen, mentioned that that was a problem or a red flag for you. So I'm not saying that because he continued to talk to her, that's a problem. It's just something that I kind of looked at is just like, you know, where's your goal? Because you want kids just before your wife passed. That was y'all plan. That's the whole reason that you found out that your wife was going through something, unfortunately, at the time anyway. So there's still some red flags there, like I say, for me, just underneath because of so much trauma. You know, you're probably masking it with a lot of this calm, happy personality that you have going on right now. And we'll see. Sometimes when you do that masking and it's not totally healed, it can lash out later. So I'm not saying that he's that brother. You know, I'm giving him his credit because he was very sound through this whole first episode. And I loved it. He was a breath of fresh air for the men, you know, that we've been seeing on the last couple of seasons. So, you know, I appreciate the brother for that. I appreciate him for being open enough to share his traumas. But sometimes on first dates, that's a bit much. And then you're reaching for other people to pull that in with you. You know, you want them to open up as much with you. So it's a lot. And, you know, like you said, Coach, that's a setup for being hurt or hurting other people, because he can use it in reverse too. You know, make the connection with people and pull on their heartstrings and then be a total jerk, you know, so we'll see. But he's still gonna get my favorites for right now. We'll see as we go though.
Appreciate it, Jay. Let me add one more person to the panel. It's good to have her on. Maria, good to have you on board, Maria. How you doing? You okay?
Hello, everybody. Hello, Koja. How y'all doing today?
Doing good, man. It's good to see you on here, Maria, man.
Good to see you guys. You guys are looking beautiful. That melanin is just popping and glowing. I'm loving it.
You too, sis, as always. Loving your hair.
Same with you, girl.
And I see that leopard. That's a little cheetah action going on. Love it.
Y'all are funny and so sweet.
Welcome. We're just talking about Walter. Maybe you can jump in as well. I'm asking the ladies, what is it about Walter that it's seemingly that he's given off, I guess, a good, wholesome vibe? Obviously, you may have different thoughts as well, but what is he doing that is making him give off such a great first impression? You know, if somebody's watching this and seeing, okay, Walter's got, you know, getting credit and seemingly getting good with the ladies, what is he doing that is, you know, positive, and what is he doing that's making the woman feel comfortable to be around him? What's your thoughts, Maria?
Great question. I think that Walter has been through a lot in life. I think that he has a lot of experience in life. And so when someone has experienced a lot and has been through a lot of things, they develop an ability to relate to different people in different situations. He said that he grew up in the hood, lived a little bit of that rough life. So he's had to learn survival skills. Part of survival skills is learning how to gain favor with people and, relate to people so that you're not seen as a threat, right? And not that I think that he's a threat, but I think that he definitely knows how to talk to people, how to charm people. And I think we see him do that. He witnessed death, from his ex-wife. He witnessed death from his mother. He said his mother died in his arms. So he knows deep emotion. He has experienced it. So he can tap into that and relate to another person with those life experiences that he's had. So with his ability to engage in really deep conversation while still having this level of like street smarts and like cool factor and like just relatability, I think that definitely puts him as a standout, cast member, because a lot of the women, they want a man who has a certain level of, wisdom about him, some level of street smart, some level of intelligence. A lot of them, don't want a shy guy. A lot of them want someone who kind of knows who they are and, all of that. And he knows his way around women. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you said it last night on my channel, how he had a 18-year-long F-boy like reign of terror, like he was out here slanging. Okay. He was spreading it around, he was in these streets. So he knows his way around women. He knows how to talk to them, how to connect with them, how to draw them in. And so I think he knows how to do that. And because of his background, he has this like realness factor to him, right? Another thing that draws women to him this is something that Kojo and I have been talking about in our F-Boy Island reviews. Check it out after this live, of course. Is this balance between good guy and bad guy, A lot of women want that edge. They want a little bit of that danger. They want a little risk factor in there. They want to feel the pride of being able to be the special one that tamed this guy, that made this guy act right. He has this danger, this mystery about him, but he's still a good guy when it comes to you, He talks to you nice. He, opens your doors for you. He does all of the performances of being that, gentleman, And so I think that, a lot of women, and this is let's just be real, y'all. Y'all know y'all want that, a good guy that is not afraid to, put the hands on somebody if they have to. Like, that's what y'all want. Like, let's not play. So I think he carries that energy. I think he has those elements inside him because of his background, because of the life that he lived. He is a reformed thug, as he put it. He said this. So yeah, I think that is attractive to a lot of women, especially on this show. And I think that that's what is, making him kind of like the crowd favorite at the moment.
Good breakdown. Appreciate it, Maria. I'm hearing you. The ladies do like a little bit of the reformed Christian thug. He uses his Bible as a gap. They like that. Okay. So the holy scriptures have become bullets. All right. So speaking to the masses, let me get your viewpoint. What did you see about Walter that was, making him have the favor amongst the ladies? Or maybe you have a different viewpoint. Maybe you see Walter a little bit different. But if you don't, let us know some of the stuff that he was doing that you think was helping him, be endearing to the ladies.
So with Walter, I got like this suave, smooth gracefulness that he came in with. Of course, because of the experiences that adds to it. I agree with, a lot what was said in regards to his background and his experiences. He just knew how to maneuver amongst the crowd. He knew how to engage in those conversations, speak certain things in an appropriate way and setting. He just knew what to do. um, compared to some of the other guys. So he stood out, and I think it because of him being vulnerable as well as a man. Sometimes we encounter guys and they don't like to open up. They don't like to be as transparent sometimes. So by him being a little more transparent and aware of his emotions and the things that he's experienced, I think a lot of the women are drawn to that. So that was just that the way that he moved in the experiences that he had. Now Jay did mention in regards to the children versus the no children thing, and it kind of reminded me about the Mike and Shay situation in the past, in past seasons, because Mike had wanted children and Shay did not. And we see from he still pursued her anyway, and as a result of it, they're no longer together. And that is important for people to consider when you are dating, whether on a dating show or whatnot, because of the simple fact, if a person wants a child and a lady who she's already been there, she's done that, and in Sabrina's case, she has more things that she's taken care of now, which are her parents. A woman in that stage of life, she may not want to have those children because there's no room or space for that. And that's something that Walter may need to look into. You may be attracted, you may have a connection, but if she's not willing to change her mind concerning that children piece, you may find yourself at odds toward the end. So in that regard, that is a flag that he needs to pay attention to. And he doesn't need to be like some people have done. They put all their eggs in one basket. And I know that they have had that connection. I did kind of feel like that was early on. Not saying you can't have a connection like that with a person, but that was kind of early on. And I didn't want it to, I don't want to say that it was trauma bonding or not. I don't really know. I just know that it did kind of happen kind of quick. So it makes me wonder if he's going, because of his experiences and the things that he's already spoken on, if he will have deep conversations and connections with other ladies like that as well. And if that's coming from a genuine standpoint, or another side concerning that. But it's just the way that Walter entered the room, what he knows, what he carries. He knows his identity. He's not shying away from conversations and the questions that's being asked. He knows how to initiate the questions. He knows how to put his foot forward. He knows how to lead, so it's clear. And I believe that a lot of women, they desire that, not just, oh, you know how to provide, but do you know how to lead? Because you had some of the other fellas speaking, saying, oh, I want an alpha woman. I want her to lead me. But he, as a man, he knows how to lead, and just by his questions and his interactions, it was smooth. So he missed the GQ right about now. So that's what I got from Walter and what we've been able to see so far.
Yes, love that, love that, love that. Good points there, speaking to the masses. Who haven't I asked about Walter? Who haven't I asked? Brittany, fantastic. Brittany, but let me ask a slightly different question. More geared. You can still talk about Walter, but I want to give it a little bit more to Sabrina as well.
Okay.
In terms of asking the question, do we think Sabrina is putting her eggs in or do we think that Sabrina is cornering her market already in regards to Walter as well? So if you can answer that question as well, alongside your thoughts about Walter.
So with Sabrina, I don't want to say she's cornering her market with him just yet, but because of her outpouring of emotions to him, I think it caused her to like him a lot more than, I think she probably would have wanted to. Because when you have a moment with a man who is able to be a safe space like that and vulnerable, and she hasn't been able to talk to anybody about what she's been dealing with, you can tend to be drawn to that person a lot more because of that one interaction you had. Like that was a strong interaction for a first time of them meeting, and she cried, right? And there's no problem with that. Like she hasn't had anybody to speak to about it. However, the wrong man can look at it as this is too much. And with Walter, because he knows how to handle himself, being relatable, right? Um, being I don't want to say a good guy, but he's he knows his surroundings. He knows how to make somebody feel comfortable, man or woman. Um, so you don't know what he's actually thinking in his mind. And I feel like there's a possibility that it could be, oh, this is too much. And people know how to cover up their feelings, right? And then he can start to back up later on. And then it can make her confused a little bit down the line if he acts that way. That's the only thing I'm really kind of keeping my eye on with about him. Because I'm not going to judge him and compare him to anybody right now. Because he seems genuine right now. But I need to see how things go. How does he interact with other women? Because for him to know that he could pull her to the side like that and just sense something going on with her, he can use it for good or bad. I don't know which route he's gonna go. Now he could also be using this as a plan to keep himself on longer. The guys and the girls gotta find somebody that's gonna keep them, locked in so that they don't leave too early. Everybody gotta have their options. And build up their roster. So I feel like he knows he has one. And he mentioned he was a playboy back in the day. So, and he was smooth. And he still is smooth. Because that's my kind of guy. I like him. He's cool. But you got to watch those kind of guys sometimes too. Just kind of watch their actions and see what they do, how they react. I don't care about the talking. Anybody could talk. Talk is cheap. But I need to see what your actions are like for me. As this progresses. But he seems okay right now. I like him. He's cool. But Sabrina, the one thing I did have a question about for him, is he going to be ready to take on a lot of, I guess, the stress that Sabrina is having with both of her parents? Because she's taking care of both of her parents. That's a lot, and a child. So as a boyfriend, or a significant other, like she may look to him to help her if they are together. I think that it's a little bit of entitlement in there if she does look for that. But that's something I'm wondering if he's thinking about. Like, am I gonna want to help this girl out with her parents? Because when you're in a relationship, you should assist your significant other if they're dealing with some bad times, right? And especially he can relate to her situation. So yeah, that was my main thing. But he's very relatable. He's very cool. He knows how to make people feel comfortable around him. Not to say that that's a dangerous thing, but when dating, you got to watch that because then you can tend to become too comfortable with that person that is making you feel comfortable. And you don't want to get too comfortable to the point that you're oversharing. And then you start liking them so much you're not paying attention to everything, all the information that you're giving them. So that's my main thing with Walter and how he's going to handle the different women. I want to see how everybody interacts with him, the women at least. Because everybody's going to take their own route in regards to how they want to deal with him, especially seeing him with Sabrina and seeing how comforting he is. Because women, we've all been through different experiences. I've been with guys like Walter, and I have to watch my emotional side because I can get comfortable. I like to open up and I like to share and be vulnerable, but there's a time and a place, especially when you're first starting to get to know somebody. That's all. But I don't think right now I'm not thinking Walter is a bad guy at all. I just need to see how things progress.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Thank you for that. Jay, have I asked you about Walter? I asked you already. Okay, so I've asked everybody. That's good. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not saying I only ask questions. I don't think Walter's a bad person as of yet. I think from what we've seen, he seems like a decent guy, wholesome, ready to listen, ready to talk. I think as I'm trying to like analyze more and more, I'm not even saying anything bad actually. I'm more of a case of maybe more towards Sabrina. Maybe I can ask Sean this question because obviously being men, okay. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me, right? How willing are men to get involved in a situation where, for instance, the woman is a caretaker to someone other than kids, like for instance, looking after the mum. Like I know he's obviously maybe Walter will be more willing because maybe he's experienced it before. But if you haven't experienced it, how willing do you think us men are to get involved in situations like that? I'm not saying you can talk for every single man. I'm sure there are things, but how willing are us men to usually get involved in something like that? Because as soon as I heard that, I said, I started hearing responsibility. And my feet started itching. You know what I'm saying? Like she must have said she had 3-4 kids because that's what I started hearing. I started hearing alarm bells ringing, and it's not that she's bad. It's that I started seeing, am I ready for that responsibility? Even though we're just talking and having conversation, I don't know you well enough. My brain started going towards it, but it may be I just start thinking ahead of time rather than thinking about the immediate moment. So I was kind of get your kind of view on that.
Yeah, it would be a no for me. But I think the right man, especially if you're later in life, you're not looking to have kids, perhaps it would be something they could overlook, especially if they have a busy life as well and they're looking for a companion. But looking to have kids and a family, and I know Sabrina doesn't want that. So, even if it was a woman that did, it would be very challenging, and I've been there and not been the primary caregiver, but my grandmother prior to her passing away had dementia. So I know exactly what that looks like. My mom and I, had to play a very big role in getting her into assisted living and a nursing home. It's a lot. And I wasn't the primary caregiver. So I knew what that looked like. It worked at the time because I wasn't in a relationship, but it takes a lot of time. So I can't imagine if they live with you. And I would say that person is probably just, not in a situation, they're not really set up to really be in a serious committed relationship like that. So yeah, I would say most men probably would not want to entertain that for a serious relationship.
And obviously, you shared something really, really powerful there. I mean, I don't want you to expose someone and tell the whole story and go too deep.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the kind of so even though you weren't primary caregiver, first day, what was the kind of emotional toll on you? Like, were you able to think about anything else apart from the caregiving you were given? Like how did it affect you personally as a male? How did it affect you?
Yeah, no, it was tough because we had to make a lot of decisions. I had to take days off of work. Unfortunately, my job afforded me the time and the flexibility to be able to do that. But I had to take time off of work. So did my mom at the time, who was still working. We had to move her from her apartment where she was living into an assisted living facility. You constantly have to be back and forth with the doctors and nurses, making sure you're present, and there so that your loved one gets the best care. So anything could happen. And there was one instance where she went missing, and that just shook my whole world because she was out there wandering. And Fortunately, she was in the lobby of a nearby building looking for me. So it definitely took a big toll, and she passed away about a year or two into the process of her really transitioning into assisted living. And to be honest, it was sad and also a relief, because as a caregiver, it kind of like occupies your mind, because you just don't know what's going to happen next. And that's how you live your day to day in a lot of instances. So, it is definitely challenging, and emotionally it takes a toll on you.
Okay. Final question. Let me just give a bit more, because you're kind of giving us a really good perspective, I think, around this issue as well. Was there time for you to think about maybe dating or being I don't know if you were married at the time, so that's why, sorry if I've got the time scales not correctly, you can correct me, bro. But in terms of obviously the romantic side of life, did that kind of affect that area as well? Did that affect how you operate in that particular aspect as well?
It did, and I was just starting to date my ex-wife at the time, at the tail end of my grandmother. She passed away within 6 months of me starting to date.
Sorry to hear that, bro.
Yeah. So, but it was tough, and my grandmother gave me grief about it too. So, and dementia, it's one of those things where you don't know what to expect. People lash out, they say things, do things. So she definitely noticed that I wasn't spending as much time with her. And I had to make a very definitive choice about how I was going to move. And fortunately, again, she wasn't living in my home. She was in a facility. So I can only imagine where in Sabrina's instance, where she's living with them. So it's so hard. And typically you don't have full-time 24-hour nursing staff in your home. So that is very hard for you to get that free time. And then there becomes that guilt. So it makes you very difficult to be emotionally available. So for me, it was a balancing act, and things wound up, working out the way that they did. But it wasn't easy. It was not easy. And I couldn't imagine how it would have continued to play out if, I was still in that position while my grandmother was alive and going through all that she was going through.
Nah, bro. Do you know it's got me thinking about Sabrina's and what was the situation really in a much more deeper perspective. I've got one more question. Sorry, I thought I had one more question. Now because you're opening up this, I think this is a really good section of conversation to get people to understand the kind of position that Sabrina's potentially in. Do you know what I mean? Because it can be very easy to kind of dismiss her and be like, nah, it's not for me, and but she's going through quite a lot, and maybe that may even play about what we see later on in the show as well from her particular aspects and side of things. So it's good to kind of get you to kind of give a bit more broader understanding of this. My question was, if you were to have someone then who was going to come into your life, what would you have needed from that? I know you're not Sabrina, but I'm saying in terms of general, like, what would you have needed from that person to make that person be, to say, okay, yeah, that person would be a good fit right now? Because that's what Sabrina's, in a sense, Sabrina's in that situation right now. Do you know what I mean? So what would you have needed from that person if you were to get into a relationship?
Sure, I would say that person to be supportive of me, supportive of what I'm going through, and then just exercising some empathy and understanding that, there may be times where you're expecting to hear from me and I can't get back to you right away. Like that level of understanding. What I will say too is I had a generation separation, so it was a little easier for me to navigate. And then I also, in that experience, seeing how my mother had to navigate it, I also understand as a man, it's much easier for me to emotionally disconnect, right? I can much more easily create a boundary. Whereas for women, that nurturing instinct in them, and also the expectations that are placed on women, it's a lot. My situation is although challenging as it was, it wouldn't be as difficult as it is for Sabrina, because she is just naturally feeling a responsibility that, of course, I love my grandmother, but it's easy for me to say, hey, listen, I can do X, I can do Y, this is what I can do, and kind of like step back when I needed to step back. Whereas a lot of women just, it's hard for them to do that because they just love so much and want to, you know, be there as a provider. So that's difficult. So Sabrina would need even more empathy than I would need. She would need even more understanding. And sometimes as men, like, we want your full attention in a relationship. So it's a double standard, but it's going to be hard. It takes the right kind of man, and maybe Walter is, because he's lived it and understood it, to be able to be there for her in that moment. And that's why she felt, you know, she felt something in him that was like, oh, he gets me a little bit. There's an empathetic vibe. That's what I see early on. So, but she definitely needs a guy that is like him. I don't know if Walter is the guy, but somebody who's like him, who's had the experience, who really can understand and sacrifice knowing what you're going through.
Man, Sean, thank you so much for you know, opening yourself up on that respect, because
Sure.
it's good to get a different understanding, because honestly, I have a very shallow understanding of what Sabrina's actually going through. You know what I mean? My initial thoughts would have been to just dismiss. Do you know what I mean? But the way you've spoken about it is kind of opened my eyes. I'm not saying I'm going to change my mind, but I'm just saying, obviously, it's opened up my it's
Right.
opened up my eyes to the fact that it's a very difficult situation Sabrina finds herself in, and anybody else who has had to be in that position and is trying to maybe date, or whether they're thinking about dating, because you spoke about a key word and you said about that guilt. You know what I mean? So, you know, someone might even say, well, if Sabrina's a full-time carer, why is she on the show? Like, yo, baby, listen, it's tough out here. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's given us a bit more a deeper understanding of perhaps where Sabrina's even kind of coming from. Has anyone else on the panel had to be in a position where they've been a primary carer? Okay, Brittany, you've been also a primary carer. So let me ask you as well, so that, you know, hopefully we can get a bit more broader perspective on this particular topic, because I think it's really good. And anybody else who's not, I see some comments. It's because I see some comments as well. People saying that they're in that position, or they've been in that position. It's good to kind of highlight that a bit more. So for yourself, Brittany, you've been in that position. Tell us a little bit, you know, describe to us a little bit more about, you know, being in that position, how it affected you as an individual, you know what I'm saying? And then we'll talk a little bit more about how it affected you potentially going into dating.
Now, my situation hasn't been as extensive as Sabrina's, but it's still at a point where you have to sacrifice your own life. I don't want to say the welfare, but, you know, you having and enjoying your life. You know, I can identify on both ends, because Sabrina is a single mother, right? I grew up with a single mom. My mother had to sacrifice a lot just to make sure she spent time with me. And that's a choice she made, right? Because she loves me and she wants to make sure she gives me all the things I need, right? Knowing that, you know, my father is who he is. And then, you know, I still got my one parent right here. She even had to quit a job that she really liked because it was affecting me. I didn't see my mother a lot. So that's one thing. Now you add taking care of two parents over 80 years old. That's a lot. That is a lot. And I say that because I was just with my grandmother in the hospital. And she went through a period of losing some of her memory, right? On top of that, everybody had to, between all her kids, she got 8 kids. They all had to take turns staying at the hospital, because you can't trust the hospital, not with no Black woman, number one, right? And she not in the right state of mind.
That's real.
And we had to make sure she was getting everything she needed, and they weren't doing that. They weren't charting anything, nothing. Like, we had to stay on top of that. I was, out of all of my not mine, but all the grandkids, I decided to stay, you know, every day, because at the time I wasn't working. So I said, I'll just stay here the whole time, with, you know, whichever child decides to come stay as they rotate. And so with that being, I was at the hospital for a whole month. And then my grandmother gets out of the hospital. We take her to a, a health aid facility. They not doing anything right either. My grandmother is losing her mind, calling people, calling us, talking about how, she's nervous. I don't want to put her business out there, but she doesn't feel comfortable, right? And we're still dealing with her getting, her mental back. Now, and then you're dealing with someone who was able to walk before they even went in the hospital, and then they come out where they can't walk, right? So now she has to get her mobility back, and she's still working on that. And so we all have to be there with her to make sure she's good. Somebody got to be with her. I mean, at this point now, she's okay to be on her own. But then again, because of what happened previously, and she's older, things can revert. So when you look at that, the reason why I mentioned if Walter really thought about whether or not in his mind, if he wants to be there to help her with that, because that's a huge responsibility. And I'm not saying he has to take that on because he doesn't have to. But the thing is, when Sabrina gets to a point where she feels like she's under a lot of pressure and she needs help, and let's just say her and Walter are dating at this point and they're together, he's gonna be the next person in line that she goes to. She can't go to her daughter unless she has brothers and sisters. But who knows what kind of relationship she has with her brothers and sisters, right? Some of your family members you don't even want around certain people. You don't want them around the people you got to take care of because they don't even have the right mind sometimes, right? Some family members, they just ready to let people go because they got other motives, right? But these are her parents, so she's going to do everything she needs to for them. So I get it. However, on her end, does she have a life, right? Is she able to even enjoy her life? We don't know this yet. Maybe she'll talk about it more. But these are real questions that somebody has to ask when you're thinking about dating someone who is a caregiver, not for one parent, but for two, over the age of 80. I don't know how extensive it is for her to take care of them. Thinking about the fact that she has her daughter, she has a job, and she has to be with them. That's a lot. So for the man that decides to want to date her, they have to figure out if that's a responsibility they'll be willing to take on at some point. Because at some point, she's gonna need some help. I feel like she needs assistance now with the way she's breaking down. Like that's hard to look at because you can tell she really has nobody to talk to about it. She don't have no extra help. It's a lot. Even if my mom was in the hospital for a couple days after she had a surgery, I still had to take care of her. I came home from school. I'm in school for like 2 weeks to take care of my mother, which I don't have a problem with. I don't, that's never a problem. I will drop everything. But now you got to look at how your life is affected, right? There was a lot of things that had to be done on my end to make sure I cover myself and I'm not falling behind on what it is I'm working on, right? And that's not to be selfish because I'll drop whatever I got to drop to take care of my mother, whatever. But the point is, how is my life, my personal life, going to now be affected? So this is something that people really need to think about because that's a heavy thing to take on if you're going to be with someone. And honestly, that's for a strong person because at the time I barely want to watch people's kids. My cousins be asking me to watch their kids, and I'm like, no, because I want to be able to go when I'm ready to go. I want to leave and go out when I want to leave and go out. That's not my responsibility. Although babysitting is way different from being a caregiver, but I'm just giving you an example of me having freedom. Sabrina doesn't have a lot of that. So is she able to give herself emotionally to this process? And I'm glad she's here because it gives her a break, right? I really hope she doesn't have a mental break at all talking about this if she talks about it again. Because that's a lot. Like, I mean, I don't know if people really understand like how emotionally draining it is to take care of people, two people at that. And Sabrina is not old; she's 45. Like, she could be out here really enjoying her life, even with having her kid. But it's a lot to think about. Yeah. That is a lot because I even found myself thinking like, do I want to date somebody who like a caregiver full time to two people. And it's not that because I don't want to do it. It's just, are we going to have time to cultivate our own relationship?
Mm.
Right? When are we going to be able to have our time?
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, things are going to come to a head. Right? So that's really, I really think people need to take a second and stop and think. And I don't even know if Sabrina's parents has insurance so that she can afford assistance. And even with assistance, it's still not a lot because they come for like 2 or 3 hours and then they out.
Mm.
And then you got to make sure these people are continuing to work and exercise and do all of this stuff on their own, right? Because I'm now thinking about my grandmother. I got to get her up out of her chair because she will sit in her recliner all day and go nowhere. And she's stubborn. So it's hard. But, you know, it's a lot to think about when it comes to dating someone.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, some deep conversations here, man. You know, I know we're talking about Ready to Love, but you know, I appreciate Sean and Brittany for sharing your perspectives, because this is the type of conversations we don't get to have often, you know, because we may see Ready to Love as being quite surface. And you know, I can only say I appreciate, you know, the fact that Sabrina is also on the show, because it does give us the opportunity to discuss a topic like this, you know. And I'm seeing the comments, and it's obviously not, it's not one or two people. There's quite a few people who have obviously, you know, either been in that experience, lived it, or currently living it. So the conversation is relevant to today, and relevant to the dating world in terms of, you know, understanding where some people are coming from. So I can see why now Sabrina's saying no kids. You know what I mean? Because adding kids to this mix is going to be a hell of a lot of work. It's draining everything as well. And let me ask a question to maybe someone else then, around the Sabrina thing then, because obviously Sabrina broke down, and I think everyone's entitled to having that little bit of that moment. I think it was a reprieve moment for her, and I think it was a situation where she was like, oh, do you know what? I could just let my kind of hair down. So I want to ask a question, because that was my thought when I watched it. I said, Sabrina needs a therapist, and not a therapist to solve her problems, just to listen. You know what I mean? Because what I'm realizing with situations like this is that what can happen. I'm not saying this is what necessarily is happening yet, but what can happen is we can be going through something, and then we can expect our partner or somebody we're trying to date to become the counselor therapist for us. So what happens is you put all the expectations of them being there at every single moment, and when they fail you, you shut them out, because now you're like, I can't afford anyone to fail me. Or you get hurt, and then you kind of lash out, be angry and frustrated, and say, you're not supporting me in my most dire of moment. But the kind of support you're asking for is a lot. You know what I mean? And so the way she broke down, I was like, I wonder if she needs just a counselor or therapist, someone who's just going to listen, not necessarily solve her problems. Okay, I don't think she has any major problem that she needs to solve, but I think she has one problem, just somebody who's going to listen, because that's what she said. She said she appreciated the fact he was listening. Maybe she just needs someone to listen to what she's saying. So maybe I can ask another one of the panelists. I'm going to ask Jade, and I'm going to ask Maria, and then speak to Jay, what's your thoughts? Do you think that maybe potentially this is that our sister Sabrina maybe here maybe potentially needs someone just to listen, a counselor or a therapist, someone professional just to help her out?
I'm gonna put it like this. Okay, I was Sabrina at one point. Wasn't with my parents, it was my grandmother.
Okay.
In my 30s, had my daughter about the same age as Sabrina's daughter is now. So worked 2 jobs. Had to quit one because when my grandmother started to decline, she needed a full-time somebody there because she couldn't even get herself up out the bed. Literally, we had to lift her up and do everything for her. And there was times that, I mean, years went by fast, and I didn't even realize that it went by so quickly, that I didn't even see my family outside of the ones that were helping me. because all of my attention went to taking my daughter to school, going to work, taking care of my grandmother. I was live-in. So I was there all the time, got to get up in the morning to make sure she had something to eat. Whoever was there during the day had to call them from work to make sure she's taken care of and make sure I get back to get my daughter, get her homework, everything done, settled. No me time. Shower, eat, check on people. Can't get no real sleep because if she wakes up out her sleep, I got to make sure she's okay. She got to get to the bathroom, whatever it is. There's no me time. I give Sabrina credit for even going on this show right now, going through this. And that's dead serious because really, I had to start sacrificing a lot of things. I was involved in a lot of stuff. At the time, I don't remember really having a relationship. If I was in one, I'm sorry to that person that I was in a relationship with, because that just probably went to the wayside, not by choice or whatever. It was just circumstance. My time had to be between my daughter and my grandmother, you know, and so I sacrificed that. I gave up one of the jobs because, like I said, I was working 2 jobs, had to break it down to one, had to have a lot of people cover me on different times. If something happened with my grandmother, had to have people step in. So I totally understand where Sabrina's coming from. Does she need somebody to talk to and vent to? Yes, because it is a lot you're holding in when the doctors are not doing what they're supposed to. When depending on what type of mental state they're in, if they're going through dementia or Alzheimer's, you know, you have to deal with that heated moment of them not recognizing you, not wanting to take their medicine. You know, it's not easy taking care of a fully grown person that cannot move when you have to pick them up, help them everywhere. And, you know, I'm pretty strong. Don't get me wrong. I'm a little person. I'm pretty strong. But when you're carrying dead weight, it is heavy. And the person cannot help you get themselves up. It's a lot. You got to make sure they're eating. You got to make sure they're groomed, they're rolled over, because you don't want like the dead butt, you know, the diseases to carry from them just laying on one position too long or whatnot. So your life is fully invested into theirs. Then on top of it, you have a kid. Like I say, there is no me time. So for her, yes, she needs somebody to talk to. And that's why she cried out the way she did, because you're holding all of that in. And then nobody wants to see their loved one dying. We really don't want to see it. We know it's inevitable, but to watch it happen and you really can't stop it, no matter what you do, no matter how much you be there, no matter how much support you love and everything that you give that person, you can't stop them from going downhill. That's hurtful. And so when we watched her cry in that moment right there, you know, I give Brother Walter credit for, you know, really seeming genuine in that moment and wiping her tears and stuff like that and being there for her, because she needed that. She deep down inside needed that. And I get it, because you have to be strong all the time during that time. You don't have that time to cry and be vulnerable and be emotional and all that, because she's taken care of 2. I only took care of 1. So to deal with 2, it's like having twins. There's no sleep. You know, there's no sleep for her, no rest for the weary. And on top of it, you got a school-age child. Homework, food, dressing, whatever, hair, because she's a girl, got to do all of these things, and you're doing it by yourself. And, you know, if your family is not there to help, or like Britt says, if there's not another caregiver that somebody's paying for the help, just for a moment for yourself, it's a lot. It is a lot. I commend anybody that does it, whether it's a job or you're just doing it out of love for that family member, because it is a lot. And the patience that you have to give, sometimes you're angry, sometimes they're angry, you know, sometimes you're both angry at the same time. You don't want to deal with each other, but you got to, because it's love. That's your loved one, you know? And so, yeah, she needs just somebody just to listen to her, just get it off her chest. Just, you know, just if anything else, she can't get anything else, no moment to herself. She needs that moment. Definitely.
Appreciate it, Jay. Thank you so much for sharing that as well. I appreciate you sharing a part of your life and what you had been through as well. So thank you for that honesty and vulnerability. Speaking to the masses, I'm asking the same question. I'm asking the same question. I forgot my question. I forgot what question I asked Jay a minute ago.
Therapy. I think it was around if
Therapy.
therapy was
Thank you.
needed.
Thank you, Sean, for paying attention, bro. Yeah, I was asking whether Sabrina needed someone just to be there, and that's when I said therapy. It's not therapy in terms of changing. Sometimes we say therapy because the person needs a behavior change, right? But we're not talking about that in a sense. I think just someone to listen and to hear, right? Because that's what it sounded like when we were watching it. It sounded like it was like if you, and the reason why I'm saying that is because um if you say, I needed to get that off my chest, more than likely you haven't had the people around you to be able to invest in a certain way to be able to release that kind of information to that person, right? So that's why I was making that deduction. It may not be true, but that's what kind of deduction I made. So I was just wondering, there's a question: do you think, like, by seeing what we saw, did Sabrina need that kind of support, maybe from somebody who's maybe a professional and just listening and hearing her out?
Yes, I agree with what you're saying. Definitely. Because when you're in that position, it's very weighty. It's heavy to, as a lot of people on the panel have already said, you're dealing with taking care of them, their health is declining. And of course, if they're, leading towards death and those things, you when you take on that and you have children, you need someone to be able to speak to. You're not going to be able to hold all of that in because it's a lot of emotion. So we have to be able to talk to someone just so we can be free from all the things that we're experiencing, because you don't want to be overloaded. You don't want to be stressed out, you know, because you don't have time for yourself. You may not have time for your friends, or your sisters that you can talk to about a lot of these different things that you're experiencing. And for me, on my side of the spectrum, being in pharmacy, in the medical field, been on rotations. I have encountered so many different patients where they've had dementia decline, and bed sores and all of these different things, and the families coming in, some of them don't know what to do. They've been stretched thin, having to deal with, as some people have said, the nurses coming into the house and they're only there for an hour or 2 hours. I've had family friends that call me to come in just so I can cook food for their parents and whatnot, because some of them may live in other locations, but I'm the one that's the closest. So I've even had to step in, just even as a family friend, to go and cook or maybe even shower their parent. So it's very difficult when you're going something like that, to make sure that you have people in place, that they know what they're doing, they're stepping to the plate. And if you don't have that level of support, it can really be a lot. On top of you dealing with a child, that's just a lot for one person to handle. So, in the sense of Walter, if he's able to handle that, I can understand where he would be a need in regards to it, because he not only knows and has the experience, but it would just be like that burden that's just lift off of your shoulder. Of course, we're supposed to give our burdens to Jesus, of course, but just human interaction, it's a lot. It's a lot. And any of us, for those that have parents and you may be placed in this situation, it is best to have somebody to talk to. You may not want to necessarily give your ear to, your friends and things like that, because they may not be capable to handle that weight and all that you're experiencing. But a professional who is trained, they should be able to carry the weight of all that you're experiencing. So in what you're saying, I totally 100% agree. I wouldn't let another day go by if I didn't have somebody to talk to, because those emotions, when you keep them inside, they will make your health decline, especially if you're stressed out. Stress on the body will make you decline so fast. People don't recognize that, whether stressed out at work or whatever, but taking care of family members, watching their health decline, watching them, death around the corner for some, that is not easy for a person to take on. So you're gonna need the help. You're gonna need, somebody to talk to. And if anybody out here saying no, no, yes, you do, because I've seen it. I've seen it so many times. Literally, I've seen it so many times, especially with the patients, especially with the families coming in. It's a lot. It is a lot. So I suggest the therapy for sure, because you got to get that stuff out. You have to.
Appreciate speaking to the masses. Thank you. All right, let me get one last voice in this. Maria, let me just get your viewpoint. We're talking about obviously the last question, just talking about obviously, do we need the therapy? Do we need the counseling? Because we're talking about Sabrina's situation. And then we'll move on to the rest of the people that are on the show. I know we took a little bit of a detour, but I felt like it needed to be addressed. But yeah, I wanted to get your perspective as well on this, Maria.
Okay. Well, I definitely think that she does need therapy, but I think she does need more than therapy, right? I do think that she needs love. Therapy is great because it is an objective space, safe space where you can get all of your raw emotions out and, really dig deep and flesh out some of the, more embarrassing, more ugly stuff, right? The reason why I say she needs more than just that is because that therapist, there's a separation between you expressing how you feel and you receiving, affection and love and emotion in return. So like the saying that kind of comes to my mind is like, who's there to save the hero after the hero is done saving the world, right? She needs someone that is going to love her and cherish her and nurture her too, and kind of fill her back up, So she needs both. A lot of times when you're going through the trials and the tribulations and the hardship, it is easy to say, I'm not ready for a relationship right now because, I'm going through this and I don't want to place it all on them, or, whatever, you're distracted. But sometimes you need to, get your love tank filled up too. Like you can't just be out here being a lone ranger, saving everybody else, putting everybody else first, and not feeling like someone is prioritizing you and putting you first. I think that the best type of person for her would be someone who has gone through this before. Walter has gone through it. What's great about Walter is he's not going through it anymore. He's went through it already, right? So he actually can be, not that he needs to take on responsibility, because I don't think that it would be healthy for him to take on like the responsibility of like caring for her loved ones. I don't even think that that's necessarily what she wants him there for, right? But what he can do is be a support system and a listening ear. And because he's gone through it, he might have some insight on like, hey, have you thought about doing it this way? Or hey, like, I heard you said this, this is what I did when I was in that situation, stuff like that. And he already understands what it's like to be in her situation. So he already knows that there's going to be moments where, we lost Kajo. I'll keep talking. He already knows that there's going to be moments where she's not going to feel like talking, or she's not going to feel like being bothered. And he'll be able to have that grace to give her in those moments. And, I feel like if she was dealing with a guy who maybe has no prior experience with this, she would actually end up finding herself talking about it more, right? Like she would be talking about it with her therapist and she'd be talking about it with him, because she's having to re-explain everything all over again, because there's going to be a lot that he just does not understand. But, someone who's been through it, they understand it. And so the things that you guys talk about is actually more progressive because the basic fundamentals of what is happening and you can actually talk about a future. So I do want to say that with the caveat of just be careful not to trauma bond, because I do think a little bit of that was taking place in that moment. They both have been through a similar traumatic experience, and that did draw them closer together. They built a connection off of that notion. What they have to do is not dwell in that, right? And find other ways to relate, other ways to enjoy each other's company. And if she is going to therapy, then that will allow her to do that and actually give the relationship the best shot that it can. Because she won't have to be all wrapped up in that, because she would have gotten a lot of that off of her chest in a different setting. So, I feel for her. I haven't been a caretaker myself, but I saw my mom be a caretaker for her parents. And it is hard. It is a lot, and it's important for you to feel like there's someone in your corner that's looking out for you. It just is. It's comforting. You feel like what you're having to deal with is that much more bearable, right? Because you know that whatever happens, someone is going to catch you, or someone's going to be there to, it was hard for us. Like my dad watched her go through it, and he's used to my mom kind of being all about him, but he knew that there was a time period when she's not there and she's caring for somebody else and, all this type of stuff. It was great for her to come home to a husband who kind of picked up in the places where she was no longer able to be diligent in, right? So that's important. That's, teamwork through tough times. So yeah, that's really all I have to say.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Maria. All right, we'll move the conversation on. Thank you so much, panelists, for having that deep part of the conversation. Do you know what I mean? I know we got a little bit sidetracked, and I appreciate you guys sharing your deeper sentiments and thoughts in that regard as well. So, yeah, man, it was good to get that perspective on the show, and I want to say hello as well. I know Sabrina's in the chat as well, so we appreciate you tuning in and hearing some of our thoughts, whether we agree or disagree. So let's move on to another some other people on the show. Let's talk about some other people. Who was the other person I want to talk about that was on the show? Okay, so obviously we spoke about Camille, we spoke a bit about Corey. Let's talk about our Christian brother Cornelius, okay? Because we spoke about obviously Camille and how she's becoming the Black Widow, but let's talk a little bit about Cornelius. He seems to be, again, one of those brothers who seems to be wholesome. Seems to be. I put the word seems to because we never know. Watching Ready to Love, they'd be starting off good and then trailing off. But our brother Cornelius, he seems to be sound. You know what I'm saying? Loves him a little bit of Jesus and the Holy Spirit. And I wanted to kind of get a little bit of that perspective, in terms of, what do we think about Cornelius? Is he a good fit for Courtney? Because bearing in mind, Courtney has said what she said. Okay, all right. She likes a certain type of brother. So is Cornelius the right type for Courtney? I want to get some of you guys' thoughts on that as well. So let me get you in. Brittany, jump back in for me. What's your thoughts?
Okay. In terms of Cornelius being able to handle Courtney, I honestly can't say yet because I haven't seen enough of him with, I guess just being around her more. Because based on what I've seen and them two talking and her having her attitude and him sitting there real calm, he might be able to deal with her. I don't know. But we have to see how things go. Because Courtney is a huge personality, and Cornelius is, I'm not saying it's small, but he's chill. So I don't know how he would. I have to see more before I can really judge that, to see if he can handle her. We might be surprised. I wouldn't doubt that he couldn't handle her. I mean, he's dated around. I'm sure he's ran into women like her before. Maybe not as, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Not as eccentric. I think that's the word. But, you know, I think he'll be all right. I don't think he's going to be afraid he's going to die and get wrapped up into her web. But I think he'll honestly find a way out of the web. But we'll see. She just won't be happy about it because he got options. So.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Let me get Chris Naffa in. Chris Naffa, good to have you on panel. I know I had you in the background for a little while there. We're talking about Cornelius. And we're talking about Courtney. Wanted to get your viewpoints, Courtney and Cornelius. Courtney, you know, Cornelius said obviously he's got the deep spiritual roots, right? Not spiritual, sorry, Christian roots. Courtney hasn't necessarily expressed deep Christian roots. I know she said about, she didn't say spiritual, that was moment, but she kind of spoke about, I think, did she speak about abstinence? I think she spoke about abstinence. Courtney, did she speak about abstinence? Maybe I mixed up with somebody else. I'll check my notes. But what do you think about the connection between Cornelius and Courtney? Is it a good match? Could it go somewhere? Is he wasting his time, maybe?
Hey, family. Cornelius seems like a really cool guy who really, you know, he's a Southern guy. He really wants marriage, it seems. We have to keep saying that because this is so early on. He wants to be married. He's abstaining. Is Courtney a good fit? So far, it doesn't seem that way. Courtney is a lot to handle. Her words. She's worth the headache. Her words. She likes tall, dark chocolate. Okay, no problem. She doesn't like shy guys. And so Cornelius, I'm not saying he's shy, but I don't know if he's as outgoing, boisterous, the life of the party. Like, I'm not sure exactly what she's looking for. And she also likes older guys. At least that's her preference. So I don't know if they're going to be a good fit. However, there was, I'm trying to remember who also was abstaining. There was a young lady who was abstaining, I think.
Momin. Was it Momin? I think it was Momin.
I believe so. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm still learning the names. Yes. Yeah. So she's, Moomin, she's abstaining. So maybe they can connect on that. Courtney seems like a very pretty woman, which is fine. I just don't know if they're going to be a good fit because she seems like she's super touchy-feely. So if he's trying to abstain, that may be an issue. Based on the, of course, the snippets and clips we've seen, that's what it looks like. So we'll see. I don't know if that's the best fit for him.
Okay. Appreciate it. Chris Nathan, welcome to the conversation. Appreciate you. Jay, talk to me. Cornelius and Courtney, he actually said, I remember, I have my notes, he actually said that Courtney embodies everything he's looking for, even though she never mentioned Jesus. This is when I started looking at him suspect. But anyway, I'm not throwing shade, guy, by the way. I'm being deadly serious. That's what I started questioning him. What's your thoughts around Courtney and Cornelius and their connection? And what's your thoughts around Cornelius in general?
Well, see, he said she embodied everything he's looking for.
Jeez. Yes, break it down, sis.
Meaning what he sees, you know what I'm saying? That's what he likes, I'm hitting with the Michael Jackson. Yeah. But yeah, so at this point right now, to me, I don't know because I didn't get much depth on both of them as a whole. We just got what they kind of generally want from, a partner. And, he's 38, she's 30. So there's her older man, as far as him being alpha, sweetie, let's be honest, there is not too many alpha anybody's out there, male or female. I will say this, she's a fellow Leo, even though, I'm a cuss baby on it. So I'll be teetering sometimes the line, but, me and my sisters are all Leos. So I know how we are in a relationship. And to say that you want an alpha is in the same sense for most Leos, females, is in the same sense as where you see how lions are. Not saying necessarily saying the alpha male is the one who's going out and doing all the hunting and all of this stuff like that, because we generally will take care of our man, but he's going to be the protector. He's going to make sure everything is good and safe at home. And so maybe that's what she means when she's saying that. She wants somebody that's providing for her, so to speak, to a sense. You know, she wants security. You know, she wants to feel like she's in a relationship that is very secure, that she's taken care of. And that's probably what I think she means when she says she wants an alpha male. Is Cornelius that? He probably is, because he wants a family. My catch is, like we said, the abstinence thing. She just recently had a kid, so maybe she's not too pressed on being physically active. You know, touchy-feely and all that stuff like that. That's just enticing on the outside, but it doesn't have to go no further than that. You know, you can be very touchy-feely, but not necessarily want to go any further than that's just my flirtatious nature. So I don't fault her on that. Is it going to be an overall connection? Will she want to wait out until marriage? I don't know. Maybe. We'll have to see on that. Can he handle her personality? And when I say this, is he enough outgoing? Because we are adventurous type people. Leos, we like to do things. We like to be out and about and stuff. And so sometimes our homebody, you know, unless we're in that stage of our life, is not that. She kind of sounds like she's transitioning out of being out, because that's what her ex seemed to have wanted, the party girl, the party Courtney. And she's transitioning out because she says, I'm trying to be more responsible. I'm growing up. I'm more mature. So that right there says she may want something more stable. And I know when we get into our phase where it's just like, okay, outside is not really doing it for us. I want somebody at home. I want to just be able to go out with that person, do things with that person. We can be more grounded and we can be more focused and serious on having a real relationship. So if she's in that stage, I think they can be a decent match. We'll see how it goes, because if she's a spitfire on top of it, she got a little attitude and he's calm, that could be a turnoff for him later on, you know, if she can't control it. And we do kind of see her go off a little bit on somebody. Not really sure who it is, but she goes off. So we'll see how that goes. Cornelius as a whole right now, decent guy. I'll leave it at that, because, you know, I didn't get much. I'm just hoping that he see the red flags of his other choice soon enough before he get too caught up in it and, you know, his head is cut off. That's all I'm going to say.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Jay. Appreciate that. Good to hear that fellow Leos, that's what they do. I don't know about that, but I hear what you're saying. Still, yeah, I hear you still. Speaking to the masses, what was your thoughts on Cornelius and Courtney connection? You know what I mean? I did, you know, I was already starting to struggle. When he said he was a Christian and he was like, you know, talking about Jesus, Holy Spirit, I was like, brother, this ain't the show for you. Okay, all right. They rarely put another person who's going to be on the same level spiritually as what you're bringing to the table. So I really thought it was going to be hard, because it's going to be quite a hard mix match. So yeah, I wasn't too sure it was going to work. But you know, he seems to be filtering through, and some of the ladies like him. So, what was your thoughts on the Cornelius and also him and Courtney's connection?
Well, to be honest with you, now if they would have had Cornelius for last season, I think it would have been really, really good. He would have been really necessary for last season in regards to like somebody like Liz, right? You're right. This show is not really meant for those in the kingdom of heaven, the way that they're moving and some of the things that they're saying and doing. I mean, I see the connection that he has with Courtney. And I get it, because she's very beautiful. But if she is not on that same level spiritually in regards to what he believes in and who he follows, if she's not going to be on board with that, that can definitely cause a lot of issues in a marriage, because when you have somebody that believes in what they believes in, you know, you don't want to be unequally yoked, and we don't want it to be like the same issue that it was with last season. You know, you have one person that's spiritually sound, they believe in God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit of truth, but then you have somebody that's willing to do it for that time being because of that person, versus no, this is your own relationship with Christ. This person has a relationship with Christ. We're both going to come together and move forward, versus as we saw with other relationships on these previous seasons, one person is with Christ and the other person is just doing it because of that other person. And that can be an issue in itself. Now, the other young lady that, you know, she believes in Jesus, it would be nice to see if him interact with her to see if it would be a connection. Now, granted, even though they do believe in Jesus together, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're compatible and meant to be together. But it would be nice to see him interact with her, and maybe if something is there, because again, you just don't want to be unequally yoked with a person. You believe in Jesus, you're praying and fasting and doing all these things, and she may not. And it's not to say that, I mean, you have some people that are dating and they get married, and true enough, you know, the word says that, you know, the husband can sanctify that other spouse that don't believe in Jesus. But there's a lot of hardships that really can come with that if you're not on the same level of spirituality in regards to that. So if he made his point in regards to what he's looking for and what he desires and what he wants, then he needs to stick to it in regards to that. And just looking at the show, you know, you connect with people, but I'm not sure if the things that they're saying via the casting video, they're going to stick to, or, you know, they're sticking to. Because some people have said what they're looking for, what they want, and some of the people that they're connecting with don't really fit what they're saying that they're looking for. So, I mean, of course, we would have to see more in regards to it, see what her stance is concerning it. But if he is looking for, you know, that praying wife, that wife that knows how to intercede, that wife that knows how to fast and pray to God and those different things, then stick to that. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes.
I hear that. Maybe he's just not as deep in it as he is, and therefore he can do that. Can I say something that's going to be really harsh to people, but it's, you know, it's the truth. If you end up wanting to marry someone who doesn't have those spiritual qualities, it says more about you than it does says about that other person. It says more about your level. Do you understand? Because if your level is that you're on solid food, you don't want to be chilling with people who are still drinking the milk. Do you know what I'm saying? So, because you it's very hard to interact with that person. Do you know what I'm saying? So maybe the reason why he can get on with, maybe he potentially, I'm not saying he has yet, maybe why he may potentially choose someone like Courtney, and she's not a bad catch, by the way. This is just us talking about spiritual matters now, because he's coming from a Christian perspective. The reason why maybe he can choose someone like Courtney, who potentially hasn't expressed the same views about Christ, is the fact that you yourself are not as deep as you're actually making it out. You just know the terminology. You speak good Christianese. You're fluent in Christianese, okay? But you don't have that depth of relationship with Christ. Because when you get to that depth of relationship with Christ, you know, that person that you want to be with, also, you want that person to also have that same, maybe not same knowledge or such, but the same passion. You know what I mean? Right? So, yeah, faith is a very big thing. It's a very, very big thing for people. So, yeah, I'm hearing what you're saying. Sean, talk to me, brother. What are you saying? You know, our boy Cornelius. Courtney. You know, Courtney's a spicy one still.
Yeah, I could see how it could happen. And, I said earlier on that, I'm still needing deliverance because I might just chase her the same way,
I hear you,
knowing
bro.
that it's just going to lead to destruction, but it's just the temptation of it all.
That's right, brother.
So I could absolutely see why he would want to test the waters. Let's see what he does later on. But yeah, she was very enticing. So I can't be mad at the brother for giving it a good go at it and seeing where the chips may fall. I might have to, ask for forgiveness afterwards. Just being human and transparent.
I'm hearing that, bro. I'm hearing you on that, but the temptation's real, bro. I can't even shout you. I can't even cuss on that, bro. Temptation's real. You know what I mean? I'd at least, have a moment. You know what I'm saying? I'll have to think about it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. Maria, what was your thoughts? Courtney and Cornelius.
You definitely took the words out of my mouth when you talked about like the level. I think, well, he didn't say this, but Cornelius strikes me as someone who potentially grew up in church, So like the church lingo, culture, the knowledge of the Bible and all that, that's like instilled inside of him. And so when you do grow up in church and you've been immersed in it for so long, you know that like your faith and your relationship with God is going to have its ups and downs. You're going to be really in it for a season. For a season, you're going to be like, am I really in this? So he did talk about going through a time frame where he had kind of strayed away from church and from God. And, now he is trying to get back to it. During that straying away time frame, I'm sure he wasn't really prioritizing, faith in the types of relationships or interactions that he was getting involved with, if he was getting involved with those types of things. And so his appetite has been, his palate has broadened, right? So now his appetite includes women who are not fully invested in the same faith as him, right? So I think part of his transitioning back into his spiritual walk with Christ and everything is also retraining his appetite and his taste buds for like knowing what to look for in a woman that is going to be compatible and actually going to help propel him forward and support his faith journey. So I think he's gonna learn that as he goes. Like, hopefully he knows, what to look out for, and hopefully he can recognize the signs and he's not still in a state of, well, let me just see if it could work, even though they're not quite there yet. Like, I'm sure he knows the scriptures about being unequally yoked and all that type of stuff, right? So, yeah, I mean, he's going to have to really prioritize that because it's just not going to work. Like, if he's trying to be on a certain level spiritually and then he's paired with someone who doesn't think that it's that important, that's going to hold him back 100%, no doubt about it. And it's going to cause strain in the relationship, right? Because he's not going to be willing to do certain things that she's willing to do and vice versa. So, I hope that he, kind of like maybe writes down a list of the things that he knows that he needs from that standpoint. But being someone who's in the church and looking to date can be difficult because you may like want a certain type of personality type as well that you don't always find in the church or with people in the church. Like, having grown up in church, there's a lot of characters. So, a lot of guys in the church, like I'm speaking from the women's perspective, not all of them have like the personality. And just because someone is in the church doesn't mean that they're not an abuser and a manipulator and all these other types of stuff. So it's just another filter layer that he's going to have to apply to his sorting through of his options.
I'm hearing that loud and clear. Thank you, Maria. Appreciate it. Good points. Okay, let's talk about set of people that were on the show. We had also, I'm trying to, let me go through my notes. I almost forgot who was on the show, bro, at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've focused so much on other people, I forgot who was even about. Here we go, my notes. Sorry, apologies, guys. I was trying to think of my notes were. Okay, cool. So we also have Frank and Aisha also had a connection seemingly as well. I wanted to kind of get you guys like first view or first kind of thoughts around them as a couple, but them as also individuals as well. Because I know, you know, it looked like it was going somewhere, but I don't know. It was a bit difficult. It was a bit difficult, you know. I don't know, because we didn't get much info from them, but a little bit that we saw, you know, we had a situation where Frank, Labby, and Aisha was sitting down, and it was techie. Frank was good. I don't want to say passive aggressive, but I want to say that Frank was trying to be polite, but he really wasn't trying to entertain that conversation with Labby. He was not on it. Like he really wasn't. So when she left, eventually he was like, yeah, it's like a breath of fresh. He was like, oh, thank goodness. So I want to kind of get a little bit. About a conversation about, you know, Frank, Libby, and Aisha, and whether there was something more that could be brewing for those two as well. What your thoughts were, Chris Natha? Let me hit you up and see what you're saying, man.
Well, I feel like that conversation was pretty interesting. And by interesting, I don't mean like great, but what I remember Frank mentioning that she seemed cool, but he didn't see future when he was talking to her. So maybe her joking and maybe it was too much. He said something about her being too bubbly, like too, too bubbly, too, you know, happy, maybe. I don't know. But I think they were talking about tattoos, and I think that it's okay to mention it, but I think she just kind of kept going. Like, I have one here and I have one somewhere else and somewhere else, and oops. And I think she just kept going, and I think he was kind of like, okay, that's enough, you know? And they just weren't gelling. But I think it was really hard for her to read the room. I think she just really wanted to, because she's bubbly, because Libba is bubbly and looks like she just loves people. She wants to talk. And, you know, I think that she didn't realize that Frank was really not feeling it. With Aisha, I believe that there's a possibility that things can grow with her and Frank, because he mentioned that his last relationship, he didn't feel like cherished, and the woman she couldn't really recognize him for the great man that he was being. And she's been married before. So I believe that she wants to be like a wife to someone. And so maybe she can offer him that attention, that love. I don't know about licking the face and all of that, but she can, offer that attention that he wants. She wants to be courted. She wants to be pursued. And Frank might be the guy to do that. I'm not sure yet. It's still early, but I hope she doesn't go running around licking his face, because that would be super awkward. So she did mention that that's something she is okay doing. And I'm like, no, girl, no. Germs. People got cooties. So yeah. So we'll see. But Libba, I think for her, I know that like I said, she was too bubbly. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe you guys can translate what that really means to us women, but I'm not sure. But because I could be bubbly, but I also know how to read when someone's not into me, right? And so I don't know. So yeah. So I think there's hope for them. So we'll see.
Good points. Appreciate it. Maria, what was your thoughts? And maybe you can interpret too bubbly.
Yes. That's too bubbly. Like, start with the yes. Yeah. It's like overreacting to everything. It's like, you know, we talked about this last night. It's almost like she removed a layer of like mystery, because she was just so much of an open book about everything. When they were talking about the tattoos, like, they just kind of touched on it. You know, it's one of them subject matters that comes up in, you know, small talk conversation, but then she took it to like the whole nother level. Like, Now we know that you got a tattoo above your butt. You got a tattoo in places that, the sun does not shine. And, it didn't leave much to the imagination, no mystery. Like, it was just too much. Also, it was a thirsty vibe. It's like a layer of immaturity, like act like you've been here before, like act like. But the thing is that she has not been dating for a long time because she was in a 20-year-long marriage. So this is her first entry back into the dating world. I think this should not have been what she signed up for. I think she should have took her time and been on some dating apps for a little bit, gone on a few dates, gone out with some girlfriends or, something first before entering national television and doing this. So it did come off. She was overexcitable. You got to have a little bit of coyness, a little bit of smoothness where, you're not too easily impressed or too overreacting about everything, because you want to give people a chance to try and be interested in getting to know you more. But I mean, that being said, if the worst thing someone is saying about you is that you're too bubbly, you can grow from that. The world is not lost. At the end of the day, it's not necessarily a negative trait. You still are a positive person, probably a loving person. So just find somebody else who maybe will appreciate that. And, maybe she should have talked to, what's his name? The guy that got eliminated. I forgot his name.
Lamont.
Lamont, right. He's a little bit socially awkward himself, Maybe he would have had a lot more leeway to give her with her personality type, because maybe he would have just been excited to just be in the presence of a lady who's interested in him, because he said that he feels lonely a lot, right? So I think he just wants someone who's gonna spice up his life, give him some excitement. So she could be a good fit for him. So I don't want her to think that because her feedback was too bubbly that somebody out there wouldn't appreciate that about her. Just in this environment, those guys, they think that they're cool or too good for her or whatever. So they're going to have that feedback. They're not going to be drawn in, but somebody out there will. So that's all I got to say.
I hear you, Maria. I don't know if someone. No, jokes. Of course, there'll be someone out for if she finds them in time. You might run out of time. But yeah, energy. Listen, I got nothing wrong with her energy. I think it's just context, and you gotta know. You gotta know who you're doing it in front of, and I think it just wasn't received well by Frank. And yeah, she did come off a little bit too eager. Again, I think everything's about delivery. You know what I mean? I think if you deliver it in a way, you get away with it. It's similar to Lamont. He was just too obvious with the delivery of what he was talking about, and she too was a bit too obvious by saying there is a tattoo that is somewhere, and it's like, yeah, okay, cool. I hear you, but I'm not here for it. Do you know what I'm saying? But had it been delivered in maybe another way, she might have got a different response. You feel me? Or maybe sometimes you're just not someone's preference, so it doesn't matter what you do, you ain't gonna get a response. So I'm hearing you. Speaking to the masses, what was your thought of the Frank, the Libet, and the Ashley situation?
So with the three of them in that setting, it kind of threw me off a little bit because it was just kind of hard to tell how things were really flowing. When they were talking about the whole tattoo thing, the one thing that Frank, I felt like Frank kind of egged it on a little bit, because he was like, "Oh, let us see," or something like that. And I'm like, well, if you're not really interested in her, why would you, add that little comment to it? I don't know if he was just trying to find a way to get her to go somewhere else. I'm not really sure. But when he kind of add that little point to it, I'm like, okay, Frank, I don't know. But the whole situation was just kind of odd in itself personally. And I don't want to say if it was nice, nasty. I don't want to say that in regards to Frank's responses with the whole scenario, but it was just an awkward scenario. I don't know about him and Aisha per se. I know we've seen some clips later down the line, and that will probably give us better context down the line in regards to, like when she popped off. And I think it might have been him, how he would handle something like that. So I don't really have a whole lot at the moment because that whole scene was just kind of off to me. I don't know if that scene even need to be put in that episode. It didn't flow to me. So it's just really hard to really tell in regards to it. And I mean, talking about Aisha, I know she's been married before. She has kids, different things like that. But it just still wasn't enough context to really go off of to really see between the two of them. Like, is he okay with the kids? Do he want the kids? We didn't really get enough from them for this first episode. So we're just going to have to wait and see as things unfold to really be able to give some type of insight concerning them 2 and 3. So yeah.
We can't hear you, Coach.
Brittany, thank you very much. Brittany, what was your thoughts? Sorry about that. I was going to mute myself.
Honestly, I didn't really think much of the situation. I feel like the producers just kind of put 2 girls and the guy together. They both had pink on, and you got 2 bubbly and strong personalities, and they're both funny. And so is Frank. He can have his moments, I guess. I don't want to say funny, but he's interesting, I guess. So yeah, that's what I got. I didn't really get much from that. I just feel like they put them together because you got. I mean, when you watch these shows or you put these scenes together, sometimes the producers just want to see how things go. Honestly, with Frank and Libba, I feel like Frank just wanted her to leave. I'm sorry. I feel like Frank wanted her to go. I think he was getting tired of her. Just a little bit, maybe she had a little bit too much to drink. I don't know. But, she could have turned it down a couple notches, just a bit. Aisha, I like her. But like Sean said, a little rough around the edges. But I think that's a part of her personality, and I like that about her. That's what separates her from everybody else, because she still has like those wifely qualities about her, but she still is fun, and she has her personality and everything. Regardless of how she may come off, I think she would still make a good wife and everything like that. But I was getting like a homegirl vibe from her with Frank. I don't really think they would really go together unless we see them by themselves again. But I feel like Aisha, she can be a little what's the word? Just not aggressive in a bad way, but I can't think of the word. Do y'all know where I'm going with this? Like her personality is very out there. So it can be kind of, I don't want to say forced either. But whatever, neither here nor there. She's all right. She cool with me in my book. I like her, but I don't think her and Frank would really be a match, honestly.
I hear that, Brittany. Thank you. Jay, what's your thoughts, man?
So we go back to the pre-show. Frank said he wants a female that's kind of like outgoing and a lively personality, right? Then we get to the sit down with the 2 ladies. They both kind of have a bubbly personality because Aisha came off like talkative, outgoing, just hitting questions at people as soon as they walked in the door. And unfortunately for Libba, she's just been out of it so long that she just a little awkward. Her and Lamont have not been dating for years, so they've been out of it. And so it comes across on the screen that we see, they're just awkward. And unfortunately for Libba as well, I feel like she was just a little too tipsy and things were just coming out. You have to have, in those sittings where you're in a 3-way, like sit down, trying to get to know everybody there, you have to learn how to read the room, as Chris says, and just gauge your timing on when you're supposed to chime in and not, especially when you just have one male there. So you just let the male kind of lead the conversation, so to speak, in that manner. So if we're talking about tattoos, you sit back and you give the evasive answers so he can ask you more. You don't go all the way to the extreme. Well, I got this tattoo and it's above my little ooh, and you know where that spot is. You don't go there. You know, you give them, oh, I got 5 tattoos. What are those tattoos, sis? Oh, I got one here, one there, name all 4. And then you get to the last one. Wait, that's only 4. Where's the other one? Oh, that other one, it's in the spot. You know, you get that mystery. You play that little game with him. You know, you entice him in. You got to bring him in. And unfortunately, she just didn't do that. She was too eager to like outshine the other person that's sitting there with her, that she just over talked herself to a point where he was no longer turned on by it. So, and that gave Aisha the advantage, because Aisha kind of just sat back and it was just like, I got this and whatever, And so it gave him more, oh, well, let me find out more about you. Because there's some mystery there. Like, like Maria said, that mystery, men like that. And you have to give it to them sometimes. And just let him feel, even if you're in charge, let him feel like he is. Like, let him lead the conversation. Let him be a man in that regards and find out more about you. And then at the same time, you find out if he's even interested in you. Because you didn't give the man a chance to sit there and say if he want to have a conversation. Now, if he has a conversation like, and I'm going to say her name wrong, how you say Tisla, the one with the T. Tasia, that's it. When she was having a conversation in the beginning where her back was completely turned to Naeem, she's focused on the other brother, not Naeem. So therefore, in those moments right there, you will know if he's focused on you, because he will be asking you questions and going back and forth to try to see, or he's just going to ask the other person questions. And so he was trying to gauge them both a little bit, but she just was too much too soon at the wrong time. So I would just say, sis, sit back a little bit next time, take your time. I know you've been out the dating game a little bit. It's bad timing on getting in it because it's crazy out there, but you gotta finagle your way back up in it and just get used to just talking to people all over again. That's really what it is. Just learning how to talk to people.
Cool. I appreciate it. Thank you for the thoughts. Thank you. Sean, what's your thoughts, man? Frank, Aisha, Libby, what's your thoughts, man? You know what I mean?
So, I think they have a good vibe going, which is nice. The conversations seem to be flowing between Frank and Aisha. So that seemed pretty cool. Nice connection that they were having. She was saying that they were all smiles. So I thought that was nice, Libba, I think, I'm right along with, I'm not sure who it was that gave her the feedback or whatever, but a couple of the guys said too, she was going around, was like, they felt like they were on an interview, the way she was just like throwing questions at them. So I think, that was really good advice. So, for all the ladies, like, please don't be so quick to dismiss the brother's advice when they give it to you. Don't go seeking out a man who's going to accept your quirks. If said quirks are things that can be worked on, work on them. We all need things to be worked on. There's some things that can be tweaked. If we're going a little too extra, she went from the tattoo on her back to the tattoo. We don't even know where the other tattoo was. She was alluding to it. That's a lot for a first, for a first interaction with somebody in a big group like that too. It's not even one-on-one where you can explore that and, maybe come back from some follies. There's not a lot of margin for error is what I'm trying to say when you're in a big group setting like that. So you got to know how to read the room. You got to know when the jokes are going to be received, if they know you well enough to take a joke, if it's a joke. And I think that's some good feedback for her to take, as she is new to the dating scene and so used to being in a relationship where, her husband might have just laughed that off, or maybe not. Maybe that's why they're not together, combined with some other things. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, she just, needs to definitely better navigate the room, understand how to interact with men in a dating environment, and where the boundary of the conversation should or shouldn't go in the first, in the first setting. Again, I don't want to get into talking about women's looks because that's going to go nowhere pretty. But Aisha's a lovely young lady. Just, again, not my cup of tea at all. But, listen, I'm definitely not saying there's men out there that won't find her attractive and won't like what she has to offer. Clearly, she was married, so she can be for someone. And I think right now, from what I've seen from her, she's having good conversation. She's talking to folks, but she looks like she'll tick, tick, boom in any second. From those previews, she looks like she can pop off and, start throwing them bows. So I would say for the rest of the ladies, watch out in that little cast. Like, just tread lightly with her because she just might tick, tick, boom you. And, that ain't going to be pretty for nobody. So, if there was anything I would say for her is like, maybe she just wants to, you're in the dating scene. You got to have a cool head. You can't let people press your buttons. This is the kind of show where it's competitive vibes. So people are going to do what they need to do to survive. So you can't be so easily offended, so easily knocked off your perch, because that's the whole part of the show. The show is to get to the end, and you're going to do whatever you need to do to get there. People aren't in this for, friends. So that's what I think. You're mute, Koja.
Thank you again, Sean, for that, man. I appreciate you sharing your thoughts on that. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't have much to say on Frank. I don't know. I'm watching Frank. I don't know what it is. I get shady vibes from him. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know. The way he sits, the way he conducts his body language, something just feels off for me. I'm not saying he's necessarily a bad guy, but something just feels off. Just the energy I'm getting. But, even with Aisha, he's still a bit standoffish. He prefers one or two compliments, but his body language is almost standoffish. And it's like, I'm watching him thinking to myself, okay, you've already gassed her up. She's feeling some other way, but you're still acting as if you're this cool person, not being drawn in. I'm like, I wonder if there's something a little bit deeper with this brother here, Frank. But it's early doors with him. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know too tough what he's going on. Him and Carrington are twins. Yeah, Carrington was going off about the whole Tasia situation. To be honest, he didn't answer the question. I'll be honest with you, he didn't answer the question. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna let everyone have 2 minutes max. Okay, give me whatever you want to talk, whoever you want to talk about, whatever you want to rant about on this show, what you saw. You have 2 minutes because we're drawing the conversation to a close. All right, you have 2 minutes. You can pick anybody, any person, any particular couple situation. You have 2 minutes. Okay, and we're wrapping it up. Okay, 2 minutes. Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? All right, cool. Okay, Chris Natha, are you there? She's not there yet. Okay, cool. All right. Maria, give us your 2 minutes. You can choose anybody. Anybody you feel like. 2 minutes.
I feel like you just put me on the spot.
I did.
But the only person I want to really say anything about is Corey. Like, he needs to get up out of there. Okay, they need to get him up out of there. And if he lasts any longer than past next episode or episode after that, I don't understand why. And then I'm probably going to be looking at production or looking at the ladies like, what are y'all doing? Like, he already showed y'all his true colors. Like, he's an F-boy, okay? Simple, point blank. He's copy paste. Like, there's no depth there, and he's thirsty. And move on. Like, he's not able to formulate a real connection. So that's all I have to say. Get him up out of here.
I hear you on that. Speaking to the masses.
So I'm in agreement with Maria. He doesn't need to be there. The ladies have made it very clear in regards to they're not liking the way that he's moving. I understand that these shows like to do certain things for ratings, but in the climate that we are in as a generation, certain things we're just kind of tired of. I don't want to speak for everyone, but certain things on the television, we're just tired of. And it's not helping people to get in good relationships and to have sustaining relationships. And when you have people that are copying and pasting and going on 100 first dates in a year, it's not okay. It's just simply not okay. Some people out here are really looking to be in serious relationships and they really want to be married. Some people have been preparing for marriage, and to go to encounter people such as him and how he's moving, that's very damaging to people. So imagine the 100 first dates that he went on, and you made, you led them on in whatever way. We need to find it in ourselves to just do better when we're going on dates, being genuine about going on these dates and just doing better. But some of this stuff that they're doing and they're 30, 40, 50 years old is childish. It's like high school. We should do better and be better. So yeah.
Thank you, speaking to the masses. Brittany, talk to me, man. Give us a 2-minute rant, or I guess 2-minute rant if you want to call it that.
Corey can go. We can copy and paste him off of the show. Control C. Let's see. Carrington, yeah, he ain't my favorite right now. He keeps avoiding questions. So let's see how it goes with somebody else. Oh yes, Cornelius. Okay, so when we were talking about Cornelius, I was thinking about Camille instead of Courtney. So I'll say what I need to say about him. Cornelius has thrown himself into the fire. I don't know if God is gonna save him like God saved Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When he put, that force field around them. Let's see if God is gonna help. But yeah, Cornelius, when it comes to his faith, I hope he don't tempt himself like that, because he's in for a rude awakening with Courtney. Courtney she's ready. This is ready for him. So he might want to save himself and just go. But other than that, this season is kind of blah right now. I was kind of bored watching it. So that's why in the beginning I really had not too much to say. So I need more personality from these people, and they probably can't give me no more than what they're giving. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Totally hear you. Jay?
No shade, though. No shade.
No shade. I hear you.
I'm going to say Shiloh. Usually I would say too much too soon on it, but because Dante led the conversation into, your childhood and your parenting and all that stuff, I'm not mad at it, like the openness of it. And it was led into the conversation. It wasn't just thrown in there. So, kudos to both of you guys for being attentive to each other and being open. I'm going to only go with, I'm not going to get her name because I just want to say something else, but Tasia, did I say it right? Tasia, whatever, baby girl, I'm not mad at the line of questionings or none of that stuff from the beginning or whatnot. I mean, it was a bit much, but, certain people answered, certain people didn't. So that's just on them. I'm only on you because of the very end. And I'm saying this because obviously you do not self-check. You don't have a good self-awareness of yourself, because your whole thing was, oh, I had great conversation. I got 4 numbers. I can't believe I'm at the bottom. You might have had great conversations in your head, but the men didn't feel like that, sweetheart. So, it wasn't nothing else but that line of questioning that you had going for the men, the rapid fire question. Every last one of them, the men that actually we seen speak on it, that was their biggest thing about you. So you have to be a little bit more aware of how you're coming across at people, and that whole attitude blow up at the end, sweetie, that wasn't even necessary. So that's already another problem that we're going to see coming out. You have an attitude when you are corrected or have critical criticism hit you. So, little things to work on later on, but overall, we'll see what happens.
Appreciate it, Jay. Good roundup too. Chris Nathan, give us a 2 minute rant. You can choose whoever you want and discuss them.
Okay, well, similar to what Jay said to Tasia, it really seemed like she was super offended by being at the bottom. And the problem is that may hinder her experience if she stays in this experiment. You know, she may be guarded. She may have an attitude. She may be giving all of the men the side eye, trying to figure out why, like, who's the reason why she was in the bottom. But the goal is to grow, right? And so take the feedback, become better, and move forward. So hopefully she doesn't allow offense to hinder her experience. To Sabrina, I wish you find a partner that is suitable, capable, and who is really well endowed, and you'll be happy forever. To Walter, I hope that you are really as genuine as you seem. And Cornelius, focus. Keep your eye on the prize, okay? Make sure that you are getting with somebody who is in alignment with you, and that you don't jeopardize what you really believe in because of your feelings, right? And guys, be careful so that you don't be part of an episode of Surviving Camille. Corey, you are a whole mess. Every man is not a king. So ladies, please don't crown this clown. That is my 2 cents. I'm Chris Nathan. Those are my final thoughts. Thank you.
Love that bars, man. She said, not every man's a king, so don't crown this one. Baby. Okay, Chris Nathan, I hear you. All right, Sean, we've come to you. I left you last on purpose because you need to give us a 2 minute, and then you need to give us also the benediction, sir.
Okay, so similar to my my co-host up there, Jay, I have some smoke for Tasia, and I really think this is a lesson, and I hope that we could take a little bit of how things played out and govern ourselves accordingly, not just on a dating show, but in life. When things don't necessarily work out the way you expected them to, always self-reflect before you deflect. That's a little gem, that I'm just feeling like we need to drop. You got to self-reflect first, because if your gun is always aimed outwards, you're never going to be able to look inside to see what the opportunity was, right? And you might learn from that. And also, sis, you got saved. So bottom 2 is a lesson for you to realize and re-strategize in terms of what you did incorrectly. Not lash out because you got a bunch of numbers. You just met these dudes within the last few hours, right? So said numbers mean nothing. How many times do we exchange numbers with somebody on the street, or not on the street, but like if we're at a party or whatever, and we never call the person? We just exchange numbers for the simple formality of doing it. Or we thought, oh yeah, that might be nice, but afterwards we're like, nah, it's a no for me. It happens. It's life. Don't think you secured the bag so quick. And I think that's her cockiness. And then thinking back to what she was saying, all my exes would take me back. But why are they exes, man? And if they were exes for wrong reasons, why would you want them to take you back? Why would you want to be back, right? So I think she needs a little maturing and growing up and kind of seeing like, hey, listen, how could I better navigate the dating scene? And, it's a trope that kind of just carries out. Like a lot of times I see this when women don't have successes in relationship, they point the arrows outward and generalize the men. You have to self-assess. We love you, ladies. You're beautiful, but we all have things to work on. And if you are seeing lack of success and you're trying to get to an outcome, you gotta be willing to consider what are you doing differently. And how about you ask one of those exes, what was it like to be in relationship with you, right? Because you can say you're doing for a man, but is that what that man wants you to do for him, right? Because you can have a list of great accomplishments that you're doing for a man, but is that what he wants? So that would be my my little rant. And then lastly for Corey, bro, customize your approach. Women are not cookie cutter. You can't copy and paste in engagements with women. That's whack. I don't know what you're trying to do, what your goal is, but it's whack, bro. You talk to every woman as she is. You get to know her. And if you want to expand your options, start there. Don't just start by, trying to pull moves, trying to be smooth, cutting other brothers off, because those are ill-gotten gains. The way you interrupt another man's flow to try to maximize your opportunity, the same thing is going to come back at you. So he should have been eliminated so that he can reassess, but we know it's good for TV, right? And that's my rant. And then I'll go on to just the summary. The chat was next level, definitely next level. We even had a cast member join us tonight. So shout out to you, Sabrina, and any other of the cast members from the show. Look, we're just giving our humble opinions, combining our perspectives, trying to chop it up, see how we can get to love. Although we know it's a show, let's not forget this, folks. We're building a season. We know there's going to be a lot of drama. Let's not forget this is a show. All right. So let's not get too personally attached. We saw how that worked out for many of us who got so personally attached to certain cast members. People are people, flaws and all. Nobody's perfect. Not me, not you, no one. Right. So let's just have fun. Let's have a good ride. Let's bring our perspectives in and have a great time at this. Back to you, Coach.
Always love a good benediction at the end. You understand? Listen, audience members, it's been good, man. Listen, I know some of you asking, am I done with the season? I'm not done with the season. The season just started off a little bit slow. That's all, right? I didn't see no alphas in there. You know what I'm saying? I don't think I even saw sigmas. So, I was thrown off a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? I think it's gonna get a little bit choppy later on. I think it just needs a little bit of warming up. I'm not saying we need to see drama per se. I just want to see a bit more action in terms of conversation. People getting to know each other like a little bit deeper. And it's a bit superficial right now, just a little bit. Walter, because there's a law of like when it comes to contrast, right? Because so far we haven't seen much depth from anybody really per se. Walter's looking like the most amazing guy ever to have lived. So, we need to see a bit more. That's all I'm really saying. We need to see a bit more. So, audience members, we appreciate you, man, for joining us today. Sabrina, thank you for joining us as well. Again, put a disclaimer there. We only go by what we can see on the screen. Okay, all right. I know she did say that she wants us to wait till that season done. We can't because we're reviewing every episode. we don't know what happens. We have to go by every episode, which means we have to see it and then we judge it by what we see on that particular episode. So every episode we're going to judge it by that episode that we see and go by it. So please, guys, have a good night. I know it's probably like 12 midnight for some of you, maybe a little bit later. Yeah, we gonna hop off now. All right, I'm going to bed. I ain't gonna lie to you, cuz I'm going to bed. Okay, all right, I'm going to sleep. Okay, but it's been brilliant. Been locked. It's been loaded, and we're gonna definitely see you guys again next week for another bonanza. We'll have some special guests for you guys as well, so look out for that as well. Appreciate it, guys. Stay locked and stay loaded.